Ladies and gentlemen, it is almost time for a little NASCAR Cup Series Sunday night prime time action. And tonight, we're at the Iowa Speedway for the first time ever for the NASCAR Cup Series in the running of the Iowa Corn 350. And this will kick off the second half of the NASCAR televised season, as of course this race here tonight will be on the USA Network, as will the rest of the NASCAR Cup Series schedule for 2024, with both the USA Network and NBC taking over their schedule for the rest of the season. As far as today's race goes, it'll be a very interesting one. A tire roulette is what we saw in the NASCAR Xfinity Series race last night, and what we saw a little bit of in practice for the NASCAR Cup Series on Friday evening as well, with similar track conditions from Friday evening to where we're going to see here in tonight's race. Will these drivers be able to make it a full run without a tire failure, and which drivers will have those tire failures? Which balance will be the best for the setup to tame this racetrack over the course of a 350-lap NASCAR Cup Series race? Appreciate everybody tuning in here this evening. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more NASCAR content as we begin our pre-race show for tonight's race. Of course, usually with the pre-races going live a half hour to 45 minutes for the drop of the green flag for every NASCAR Cup race, I give you guys my best in-depth predictions for who I think will run well and not run well for the race on any particular weekend. So far this season on my don't have picks, 26-4 is my overall, actually 27-4. I was 24-4 and then I got 3 for 3 last week. So 27-4 is my record this year when predicting the driver to finish outside the top 10 this season. So we're going to start off with my don't have picks. This is all correlated with the fantasy league. So if you're not already in the fantasy league on the NASCAR.com website or the NASCAR mobile app, be sure to join. It is free to join. Chance to win 2 tickets to any NASCAR race if you're choosing the following season if you win our regular season and or playoff championship. Name of the league is KRC League. So when you sign up again with your email free to join, you'll want to search for KRC League. When you go to join a league, it'll be KRC in all caps, a space, and a capital L on league. I'll put the league name in the chat. There it is. So you'll want to join on that. Special announcement coming up at the end of Stage 2 regarding that as well, on top of the usual prize. So stay tuned throughout the race for that one as well. So getting into the in-depth predictions for this one, I've got some interesting ones to say the least for this week. I usually try to keep it with the notable drivers in the NASCAR Cup Series and kind of go from there. So this weekend's don't have picks. We're going to start off with, I think, probably the most obvious one, at least of the bigger names, and that's going to be Kyle Busch. Reason being is that RCR as a whole has not been great on the short tracks with the next-gen car. Tyler Reddick was a little bit better when he was in that 8 car on the short tracks in the first year of the next-gen, but even still, he wasn't getting great finishes. He'd have fast stuff, but then the equipment wouldn't last for the way he was running the race car. The setup just wasn't working right for the long haul in those races. 1 mile racetracks and less in length, Kyle Busch has not scored a top 10 finish in this season other than Dover. Dover, really nothing like Iowa. Iowa much flatter. The speeds are going to be somewhat higher on the straightaway, similar to Dover, but it's not going to race particularly the same. Now, I know Kyle Busch did qualify well. He qualified 7th, but in practice, he was very slow. Average on his laps, lap averages, I should say, were not very high. He was 30th overall in practice, so although he picked up quite a bit in qualifying, a lot of that was probably due to how slick the racetrack was in qualifying, and he was able to keep his car more steady than a lot of other drivers. It also probably helped that he was in the second group of cars, he was in the first group of cars, but he did not have to re-qualify. So maybe he could have done a little bit better. Maybe he could have done a little worse. I guess we'll never know with that aspect of things, but he only had to make 2 laps. He didn't have to run 4. Despite qualifying inside the top 10. But needless to say, when it comes to the long run, I'd be a little leery on Kyle Busch. Long run speed has not been great on the short tracks this season, especially if there is any sort of tire degradation. I don't think there's going to be as much tire fall off as it is going to be the blistering of the tires and potential tire failures. But if we go back to Bristol, where we had a similar race as far as tire failures go, Kyle Busch had multiple tire failures, in that race. Finished in the 25th place position, multiple laps down. In fact, on all 3 races this year in tracks that are less than 1 mile in length, 16th was the most recent of the short track races at Martinsville Speedway. That is the only one he has scored a top 10. Now, if we look back to even in his next gen days, not even counting the RCR days between this season and last season, even if you go back to his Joe Gibbs Racing season in 2022, last 10 short track races for Kyle Busch, he's only scored one top 10 finish, both with Hendrick Motorsports and JGR. But now with RCR and towards the end of his JGR days, it just doesn't seem to be the case. So I don't think Kyle Busch is a very good pick for your team. If he's in your lineup, I would substitute him for some of the names I'll have to add on the must-have list when we get to that point. Next driver on the don't-have list is going to be Ross Chastain. Now, this is an interesting one because he does seem to have some speed this weekend. He was 6th overall in practice, but he didn't qualify particularly well, so not having that track position out of the gate could hurt him, especially in Stage 1 and trying to get stage points here. Qualified in the 17th place position, so he'll be starting mid-pack in this one, but much like Kyle Busch, not great on short tracks with the next-gen car. 7 straight finishes outside the top 10 for Ross Chastain on the short tracks of Richmond, Bristol, and Martinsville. And of course, we haven't raced at Iowa yet, so not sure exactly how this is going to pan out for sure for him. But if we go off the other short tracks that are on the NASCAR schedule, again, traditional short tracks, less than 1 mile in length, finishes have not been good for Ross or Kyle Busch. So I think Kyle Busch, or I should say, I would say that Ross Chastain, between him and Kyle Busch, has the best opportunity to get the top 10 this weekend, just because I feel like he showed a little bit more speed in practice. Another leery thing with Chastain is he had a tire failure in practice. So having a tire failure in practice when we know tires are going to be more than likely failing throughout the course of this race, and definitely lead me to believe that he's probably going to be one of the teams that could be a little bit in a sketchy situation when it comes to blistering today. Although it was his left rear tire, not his right front, like we'd seen from most of the other teams, he still had a tire problem nonetheless. So Ross Chastain's got a big question mark. I say he finishes outside the top 10. I'm just going to go with the stats on this one. Bubba Wallace is the last guy I have on my don't have list this weekend. He also has not been great on short tracks, especially this season, more so than the last couple seasons with the next-gen car. This year he has finishes of 16th, 29th, 13th, 4th, and 32nd on tracks 1 mile and less in length. That 4th place finish ended up coming at the Martinsville Speedway, so he does have one good short track race under his belt this season, but that's it. And again, that would even include the 1 mile racetracks where he finished 32nd at Dover and 16th at Phoenix earlier in the season. So not great there. The speed looks mediocre for Wallace. 16th was where he qualified. He was 19th overall in practice, and he didn't really have any lap average speeds in the top 10 on the longer runs as well. The Toyotas of the manufacturers I'm probably most scared for as a whole as far as trying to make it through a full run without a tire failure. We saw both Ty Gibbs and Christopher Bell. Now, granted, that was Joe Gibbs Racing and not 2311 Racing, but still under the same Toyota, basically, manufacturer, obviously, but the same team as far as equipment goes. A little bit lesser, obviously, for 2311, but we usually see similar speed out of the 2311 Toyotas and the JGR Toyotas on most given weekends, whether they both have speed or they both don't. The speed, I think, can be there for the Toyotas because they have been great on short tracks this season, but Bubba Wallace, for some reason, has been lacking well behind the other drivers when it comes to finishes, at least, on the short track. So Bubba Wallace, Kyle Busch, Ross Chastain are my 3 don't-haves for this weekend, and a lot of you in the chat last week took two of the 3 guys I had on the don't-haves were in those early incidences. Hamlin blew an engine on lap 2, so I might have cursed him before the race started. And then who was the other one? Well, Brad Keselowski was a don't-have. He definitely finished outside the top 10. But there was another one that got in a wreck like really early on in the race. William Byron, I do believe. I think it was Byron, if I remember correctly. That got caught up in an incident and he got taken out. So yeah, I don't like those 3 drivers. I might have cursed them already again. Keep an eye on them in the early going and all the way throughout the race. See if anything bad happens to them juju wise, and you can look back and say, well, Keegan called it. All right, on to the sleepers for this weekend. I'm going to go with Josh Berry for a good sleeper pick. He qualified extremely well, and he has been strong in the short tracks this season. Remember, he led a lot of laps at both Bristol and Richmond this season, scored a lot of stage points in both those races. Didn't quite get the finishes he would have liked, 11th in both of those, but I do see him having a good top 10 threat today. all the SHR Fords actually look pretty strong outside of Ryan Preece this weekend. Two of them qualified in the top 10, being Chase Briscoe, Josh Berry, and Noah Gragson was fastest overall in practice. Of the SHR Fords that I'm most confident in getting a top 10 today, I would take Berry again because he has been probably the strongest of them. On short track specifically, I'd say Gregson's been the best on the intermediates this season when getting finishes. Chase Briscoe's been the most consistent overall across all types of racing. So I've got Briscoe and Berry, in fact, on both of my sleeper picks. And Briscoe actually showed more pace in both practice and qualifying, I'd say, overall. Although Berry qualified a little bit better than Chase Briscoe, Berry was outside the top 10 in practice overall, where Briscoe was 10th in practice overall. And again, qualified 6th for Chase. So I've got both of them in the top 10 list for sleeper picks at least today. Again, one career win between the two drivers and two career wins between all three sleeper picks. I've got Justin Haley getting a top 10 today. That's going to be my outside the box pick. I have not picked Haley for a top 10 finish yet this season. He does have a few of them. In fact, he's got two top 10s in the last 4 races, and that's not even including the All-Star Open where he finished 4th and almost raced his way in. Again, this is a Rick Ware Racing Ford, but Haley's been definitely performing very well, and in recent weeks has mainly been outperforming his equipment. The 9th place finish at Gateway just 2 weeks ago on the last oval, and then a couple weeks before that at Darlington, he also finished 9th. Two very much skill-based racetracks. I'd say probably two tracks on the schedule that are somewhat similar to Iowa Speedway. I say Gateway a little bit more with the high speeds on the straightaways, the tighter corners. Track, it is very old. It's an older surface. The corners are going to have a little bit more grip, although it's going to be slippery in the hot sun. We'll have slightly more grip because there aren't as many bumps with the repave there. But Justin Haley did show pretty good pace this weekend as well. 4th overall in practice for Haley. Qualified 19th, which is mid-pack. But again, he paced better than the other drivers who start mid-pack, like Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, that I have on my don't have list. I actually think Haley's got a better chance at a top 10 than them. Now, with saying that, I don't think Haley's going to go up there competing for the win, leading laps by any means. He's probably going to get around a 9th, 10th place finish if he does get a top 10. So I think he sneaks in there late more than anything. But yeah, I've got him on my sleeper pick for this weekend. So again, Haley, Briscoe, and Berry are my sleepers, and my don't haves Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, and Ross Chastain. 3 must-have picks for this weekend as we blow through these predictions quickly. I got 2 Hendrick Motorsports Chevys and a Toyota. We'll start off with a Toyota driver. I think it's Denny Hamlin. Although Hamlin didn't look as strong in practice and qualifying as I would have thought coming into the weekend, he's still one of my favorites to win the race nonetheless. He has 4 short track wins this season already on tracks 1 mile in length and less. 3 of them in the regular season, and then he also won the Busch Light Clash at the LA Coliseum to start the year as well. Toyotas, as I mentioned, have been very good on short tracks. I would not be surprised if a Toyota won today. I think the main risk with them, again, is the tire failures that they had as a whole in practice. They seem to have more of an issue with tire blistering and tire blowouts, at least on the Cup Series side of things with practice on Friday versus some of the other manufacturers. Some of the other manufacturers did have them, but it didn't seem as severe across the board as what it did with Toyotas. So that is a concern with Hamlin, but the speed should be there. Again, he's won a bunch on short tracks this season. I think, again, coming into the weekend, he was probably odds-on favorite. I'm not going to take him to win because he didn't look quite as fast in practice and qualifying as I would have expected him to be, but I still think he's going to be a contender nonetheless. Chase Elliott's another driver who I have on my must-have list this weekend. It's actually 2 weeks in a row I have him on the must-have list. Elliott has just been very good, very quietly consistent this season. He's actually second in points, if you did not know that. That's how consistent Chase Elliott's been with just 1 win on the year. And in fact, if you really look at it, outside of Kyle Larson, who has ran 1 less race than everybody else, and if he would have ran the 600, more than likely would have a pretty big points gap, then you'd have Elliott ahead of the rest of the field behind him. 5 short track races for Chase Elliott this season. So we're going to go with the 1 mile and less in length racetracks. His finishes are 8th at Bristol, 5th at Richmond, 3rd at Martinsville, 5th at Dover. Now, he did finish outside the top 10 slightly at Phoenix earlier this season, but Phoenix has not been a great track for Hendrick Motorsports in the next-gen era as a whole anyway, so don't want to count that too far against him. Again, those other tracks, he's got 3 top 5s and a top 8 finish in each of the 4. He also had an 8th place finish in the All-Star race, which granted the field was cut in half, so I don't want to take too much into that, but again, he had a top 10 there as well. Qualified ninth for today's race, fifth overall in practice, and he was the only driver to make a run longer than 20 laps in practice, which I think is a very big stat. And the reason being is because most of the tire blowouts that we had seen yesterday, or 2 days ago, I should say, in practice, were around the lap 18 to lap 22 lap mark. So pretty much about a 20 lap average we saw tire blowouts. Now I think it'll be a little bit more laps in the race today because I think the teams are well aware. They'll try to set the air pressure slightly higher. That will maybe help them last a little bit longer. Not push as hard could be another factor there as well. Again, they just have the knowledge of seeing the Xfinity race, of having the full 50-minute practice Friday, seeing the tire failures when they saw them, qualifying for just more track grip, more track time. I think we will have slightly longer runs today than what we saw in practice, but I think we will still have tire failures. But knowing that Chase Elliott was able to make a 25-plus lap run when nobody else in practice was able to, and not have a blistering issue with his tires, that tells me that he is going to be very good on the long runs today. Therefore, he also had the fastest long run pace in practice. So look out for Chase Elliott on the long runs today. I think he could be a factor in competing for the win. Kyle Larson is going to be my pick to win the race today. I picked him to win a few races this year, and every time I pick him to win, he doesn't win, and he wins when I don't pick him to win a race. So, well, that's a lie. I took him to win at Vegas earlier this year, and he won that one. So, never mind. He did win one of the races I predicted him to win this season, but I haven't predicted a winner in quite some time. It's been a few weeks. Well, I guess it's only been 3 weeks, but needless to say, I've only predicted 4 winners this season. I got off that hot start where I had 3 in the first 5 races, and then it went about a month and a half for a predicted one, and now it's been a few more weeks. So I'm due. I'm taking Kyle Larson today. He starts on the pole. He just won last week. Very hot. 3 top 3 finishes. Or sorry, he was top 3 in his lap averages in practice is what I meant to say. So 10, 15, 20 lap averages in practice. He was top 3 in all those categories, a second, a third, and a third. Oddly enough, Bowman was actually faster than him in the 20 lap average, the only driver that beat him there. 4 top 4 finishes in the last 6 races this season. That would include the All-Star race as well, where he ended up finishing top 4 there, second if I do remember correctly. So 4 top 4 finishes, last 6 races. Again, a win last week. He's just very, very hot. Qualified on pole again, 4th time he's done that this season. We'll see if he can go for his 4th win of the year as well. He was 13th overall in practice, so the fire-off speed wasn't there, but again, the long-run speed was. So with the long-run speed looking great for Larson and Elliott, and knowing that they're probably not going to have as much of an issue with tire blisters as other drivers will, because we didn't really see that out of the Hendrick Chevys at all on Friday in practice, and they have speed. I think Hendrick Motorsports is one to look out for today. Byron also starts up in the top 5, although we don't have him on the must-have list. I would not be shocked if Hendrick car goes to victory lane here in this one. Byron did win the last short track race, traditional short track race at Martinsville, although Hamlin had wins at Richmond and Bristol, and did win at Dover, the last 1 mile racetrack. Again, the last traditional short track, less than 1 mile in length. Martinsville, Byron was the winner. So I think Hendrick Motorsports wins this. And Larson did win a couple short track races last year, early in the season for Hendrick Motorsports as well, winning at Richmond, winning at Martinsville, and also winning the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro last year. So it's not like he hasn't won in recent years with this car on short tracks with Hendrick Motorsports as well. So taking Kyle Larson here today, and interested to see who you guys have with the chat poll open. So you can vote for who you think will win today's race. We have over 70, 80 votes, 81 votes already. Wow, that's awesome. So 81 votes. Be sure to vote. You have until the end of stage 2 to do so. We'll keep that poll open. Larson at 45% of the votes right now, so it looks like we're in agreement on taking Larson for the win. 30% of you say somebody other than Larson, Elliott, or Hamlin will win. I just pretty much threw my 3 must-have picks this weekend in for the poll. Only 6% taking Denny Hamlin, make that 7%. He just went up a little bit. 18% of the votes taking Chase Elliott. So we'll monitor that throughout the course of the night. So just to reiterate here quickly, my must-have picks are Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott for lock-ins for top 10. Underdogs or sleepers for a top 10 finish today. I have Josh Berry, Chase Briscoe, Justin Haley. And my must-have picks, which have been absolutely ungodly this season when taking them on the prediction side of things. Again, 27-4 is my record 31 picks this year, 27 have been correct on predicting drivers to finish outside the top 10. Kyle Busch is one of those this week. Ross Chastain and Bubba Wallace. They got one Toyota, two Chevys on that list. So here we go. I'm ready for this race. It's going to be an interesting one. It might be a bit sloppy with the tire failures, but it's going to be intriguing to say the least, just to see who's going to survive, even if it is a tire roulette race here tonight. Regine Huddleston, Silent L. Scribe, Billy Kramer, Delbert Wilson, Brett Whiteside's Mike Key, Vegas Aviation 22, Robert Perkel. Thanks for tuning in. Some other shout outs to those of you in the chat would be Stephen Harvey, Candy Cox. Appreciate you tuning in as well. Dan Bowers, welcome to the stream, and many others. We have over 150 people watching already, and this race has not even begun yet. That is awesome. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so yet as well. Maybe we can make this the most viewed stream this season. I mean, we have a lot of you watching. Again, greatly appreciate you guys tuning in here on a Sunday night. Happy Father's Day as well to any dads out there. I should have said that at the start of the show here. I wanted to get through those predictions first and foremost. But yeah, definitely happy Father's Day as well to all of you out there. William Ayers reacts. Joseph C3, thanks for tuning in. He's got Chastain Suarez, so he's definitely pulling for Trackhouse. I think they're going to have an uphill climb today. Actually, Suarez looked like he had better pace overall on Friday, Saturday than what Ross Chastain did. And he had a tire failure, Chastain did also, so a little bit of concern there also. Mike H, also welcome to the stream. Yeah, I haven't had a race on Father's Day the last couple of weekends. NASCAR having their off weeks this year during the Summer Olympics with the NBC/USA networks and all their TV personnel going over to, I think it's London for the Olympics this summer is where they're at. So that's taking place in about a month and a half or so. And they will have a 2-week break there, just like we did 4 years ago during the Olympics back in 2020. I guess technically it was 2021, wasn't it? Didn't they suspend the Olympics like a year? Like they didn't have it during COVID, but then they had them the next year in 21. I know we had this pretty recently, but I don't think it was 2020 because of the pandemic and stuff. I could be wrong. You'll have to correct me in the chat. It was either 2020 by way of years, because every 4 years is when the Olympics happens, would make sense, but I think they had it in 21 instead of 20 the last time. Well, we still got to go through the point standings and how that looks like going into this race today. We know NBC highlights the playoffs a little bit more than Fox, knowing that we are getting deeper into the regular season. We have 10 races to go in the regular season heading into tonight. Kyle Larson is the points leader despite running one less race than the rest of the competition. He has just a 14-point lead over his teammate Chase Elliott. Denny Hamlin's 26 points out of first, who's third overall in the standings. Tyler Reddick, Martin Truex Jr. also within one race worth of points, fourth and fifth overall in the driver standings. Top 5 all within 53 points, and mathematically Truex, even in fifth in points, could take the points lead today if he has a solid day and gets a little bit of help with that. Larson not only leading the regular season championship, but remember 15 playoff points goes to the regular season champion. And the regular season champion in the 16-man playoffs since 2014 has made the playoffs, or well, obviously makes the playoffs, but makes the championship 8 out of those 10 times. So it's almost a lock. 80% chance that the regular season champion will get into the playoffs just based off those stats alone. 8 top 10 finishes so far for Larson this year. Surprisingly, not the most in the series, but he does have a tie for the most top 5s this year with 7. He's also tied with Denny Hamlin and tied for the most wins, 3 apiece with Hamlin and Byron. Most laps led for Larson at 675 into tonight's race. I'm sure he'll lead more from the pole today. And 7 stage wins, most of anybody in the series. Also, Larson just hands down best driver so far this year. Again, one less race and he's leading the points. I think that alone goes to show you how great of a season Kyle Larson has had yet again. And honestly, I've seen glimpses of it. I haven't seen the consistency he had back in 2021, but when he's on, it feels like 2021 all over again to a certain extent. I don't think he's going to go on to win 10 races, but I wouldn't be surprised if he wins 7 or 8 at this point, having 3 in the first 15 for himself this season. Still got 20 races to go. I definitely think he can get 3 or 4 more wins the rest of the way. So a great track coming up for him yet that he has won at before and we haven't gone to yet this season. So there's also that for him. So Kyle Larson is Definitely the one to beat, I think, for this regular season championship at the very least, and I think he's the overall championship favorite. And I have him winning tonight's race too, so I think he gets at least that fourth win here today. If we look further down the playoff standings, first and foremost, the drivers who are locked into the playoffs with the win, we have 9 different winners so far this season. Again, 3 apiece for Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, and William Byron. 2 wins for Christopher Bell. And then 5 drivers have 1 win this season, which would include Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, Brad Keselowski, Daniel Suarez, and Austin Cindric at Gateway 2 weeks ago. The drivers who are in the playoffs right now on points would include Martin Truex Jr., who's over 2 races ahead of the cutoff line, so as long as we don't get 16 or more different winners, Truex should be an easy lock for the playoffs there. Ty Gibbs is 8th overall in the driver standings, but he would be in if we started today. And Chastain, who's also top 10 in the driver standings, would also be in. A little closer to the cutoff line itself, above it, you still have Alex Bowman, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, and then Bubba Wallace is the last driver above the cutoff line if the playoffs started tonight. He's 8 points to the good over Kyle Busch. Below him in the standings, you got Joey Logano. Logano comes into this race 16 points below the cutoff line. Chase Briscoe comes into the race 27 points below the cutoff line. Sorry, I'm doing the quick math on the fly here because I don't have the exact numbers. So 16 points, like I said, for Logano below the cutoff line. 8 points below the cutoff line for Kyle Busch. Chase Briscoe is 27 points below the cutoff line. So it's still pretty tight there. And then a little bit further back to Michael McDowell, who would be 20th on the playoff grid. He is almost 100 points out. So that is the actual regular season championship race standings update as well. We're not too far away from the drop of the green flag of today's Iowa Corn 350. We'll take our first ad break of this pre-race, and then we'll go through the starting lineup and get us kicked off for tonight's race for the NASCAR Cup Series on KRC. Olympics are in Paris. Oh, yeah, they were in London not that long ago. Sorry about that. Tells you how much I pay attention to the Olympics. I don't pay attention to them until they're actually on, usually. I don't watch like any qualifiers or anything of that. I've always been a bigger fan of the Winter Olympics than the Summer Olympics, too. I think it's because like it goes on during like baseball season and there's no, stoppage there, and usually NASCAR runs through it, but the last couple times they haven't, so for that reason also I've kind of not paid too much attention to the Summer Olympics. I've always liked the Winter Olympic sports themselves a little better. I'm a huge hockey fan, so I always love seeing that when the Olympics come around. Even fun, watching the snowboarding, the bobsledding, all that stuff too. So, yeah, I've just always been more of a fan of the Winter Olympics than the Summer Olympics. It's just the sports that they have in the Winter Olympics I tend to watch more on my own anyway, so it draws me in a little bit more. VP Stallat, Karina Corona, Patrick Shadley also thanks for tuning in. It's time for Iowa Corn is King 350. Edward Negreet, thanks for tuning in. Mark Truex Jr. will win the first stage. That's a bold prediction. He starts pretty deep in the field, if I'm not mistaken. He starts 31st. I was going to say, I remember him not qualifying particularly well yesterday. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough day overall, I think, for Truex here in this one. I don't even have the broadcast up on my phone yet. The race could be going on for all I know, and I'm just talking, trying to kill time over here. Yeah, we're not too far away from the drop of the green flag at this point. Marty Snyder's up on the pit box of the 20 team with Adam Stevens. Christopher Bell is in a backup car to start this race today. He was one of the drivers who had a tire failure in practice. Austin Cindric also had a tire failure in practice, which has led him to a backup car. The only two that have to drop to the rear for the start of the race. So the cars are actually on the track right now. On their parade laps, currently checking pit road time. So we'll blow through the starting lineup for tonight's Iowa Corn 350, and then we'll get going here. Larson on the pole, 4th time this season, most of any driver. Time for the most wins, trying to go for the most, his 4th of the year if he can win tonight. Ryan Blaney starting 2nd, still in search for his first win. He's been so close on multiple occasions and trying to break through the victory lane, and he needs it to lock him into the playoffs. Josh Berry in a must-win situation to make the playoffs starts inside of row 2 with Byron 3 wins this year on the outside of that row. Brad Keselowski, Chase Briscoe will line up in row 3. Keselowski locked into the playoffs. Briscoe is not. Kyle Busch and Tyler Reddick will be back in row 4. 1 win for Reddick, none for Busch. 1 win apiece for Chase Elliott and 2, in fact, for Christopher Bell. They'll be both starting back in row 5. Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin in row 6. Row 7 for Daniel Suarez, Todd Gilliland, Chris Buescher, Bubba Wallace back in row 8. Row number 9 for Ross Chastain and AJ Allmendinger. Row 10 for Justin Haley and Carson Hocevar, couple young guns there. Austin Cindric and Michael McDowell in row 11. Row 12 will be Noah Gragson, Corey LaJoie. Harrison Burton and Zane Smith in row 13. Row 14 for Ty Gibbs and Kaz Grala. Ryan Preece and Daniel Hemrick in row 15. Martin Truex Jr., Eric Jones is row 16. Row 17, starting deeper in the field, will be Martin Truex Jr., I think I had that wrong. Row 15 for Preece and Hemrick, Truex and Jones in row 16. Row 17 is going to be Alex Bowman, John Hunter Nemechek. Then rounding out the field in row 18 will be Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Austin Dillon. So that is the full field starting lineup. Sorry for the hiccup towards the end of that. But that will be your starting lineup for tonight's race. And appreciate everybody tuning in. If you're wondering visually where you can watch the race, it is on the USA Network tonight. And I believe it will also be on the USA Network at Nashville Super Speedway next week as well. Lights are still on in the pace car. We got a little bit at least until we go green. So until that happens, here is the NBC booth.
These going into the day, if you have stage points in front of you, you got to get them. I don't think you got to even gamble a little bit at these stage points because you don't know you're going to be here when the race ends.
RFK Racing has definitely made a resurgence over the last couple of years, and one of the big reasons for that is one of the co-owners, Brad Keselowski. Let's listen into his radio. And again, there were 2 backup cars because of accidents in practice. The 2 and the 20 are backup, so they are going to the back of the field.
I don't ever remember a time that I spoke to so many drivers that told me the first 5 laps on tires is scary. They have no idea where their cars are going to end up. It was said to me over and over when I was on pit road. Pay a lot of attention at the start of this race.
It's Larson and Blaney that make up row 1. You saw the temperature.
Pace car is going to be pulling onto pit road here this time by Larson will lead us to the green. A sold-out crowd for the first ever Iowa NASCAR Cup Series race. We're racing under the lights at Iowa Speedway for the first time as we head towards turn 1. Kyle Larson on the outside of row 1 as a control car for this initial start. One car gets a little bit up out of the groove in the first turn above that fresh asphalt on the inside 2 lanes, and it's Christopher Bell, in fact, who almost got up against the wall off the exit of turn 2. 3 wide in the middle of 3 and 4 on the other end of the racetrack, just outside the top 10 where that takes place. Up in the very front of the field, still door-to-door for the lead as Larson leads the opening lap of the race by about a half a car length over Ryan Blaney. Blaney on the inside still, Larson still on the outside, and off the exit of turn 2, there's still drag racing down the backstretch, door-to-door for the lead into turn 3. Larson trying to slam the door shut, pinches Blaney off, a little bit of contact to the left rear corner panel of Larson's car that slid him up the track and allows for Blaney to take the lead. So now Blaney out in front on lap 2 after Larson leads lap 1. Larson shut the door on Blaney when Blaney was still there. They made contact, basically bump and ran himself up the racetrack is pretty much what it looked like. Luckily, Larson was able to get back in line and only lose that 1 position. 3 wide and tight, fighting for the fresh asphalt in the middle of 3 and 4. Larson, Busch, and Byron 3 wide. Sorry, not Larson. That was Barry Busch and the 24 Byron, who were 3 wide. And Busch won that 3 wide battle, getting by both of them. Oh, 1 car around and backing up against the fence in 1 and 2. It's Corey LaJoie. And the caution flags out for the first time tonight on lap 4.
The first caution, he was running 20er. 2 and 3 wide back here. Wow.
His 71.
Teammates get together.
It looked like he was really loose on corner entry. The 7 was above him. I think it was a 3-car, all Spire car involved incident. 77 got loose, caught the 71, who got the 7. That is not what the Spire Motorsports organization wants to see. It's nerve-wracking enough with all 3 cars on the racetrack. See a battle for the lead. Going back a few laps ago, 5 trying to just use all the racetrack, and Blaney was there. That's what we talked about, though. Lap 5, nobody was comfortable with their race cars. Everybody was guarding a little bit, afraid of what their cars, how they were going to drive. The track is so slick. It is so hot outside, and you just don't know. First race here with this pavement, so much to learn.
Yeah, the repaves in turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 have built up the speed here as we see the temperature starting to climb now, also inside these cars. But Steve, I think that was one of the big questions is why were we seeing something different in that practice? But you had mentioned the loads were so much more because they were going so much faster.
Yeah, even at the tire test, which was just a few weeks ago, there's Ryan Sparks, crew chief Will of Joy, waiting for pit road to open to assess the damage on the 7 car. So a few weeks ago, these teams came and tested, and the 20 right there, Adam Stevens, was one of those teams. They came, they had a lot of confidence when we came back this weekend. They're one of the cars that failed the right front tire. Well, the lap times were almost 1 second faster. So all the simulation, we talk a lot about simulation that the teams have and Goodyear has. That's all under the assumption of how fast they were 3 weeks ago. Well, you come back and you go 1 second faster, you can imagine how much higher those loads are. And that's really what happened, right? The math problem has a few just assumptions in it. Pace is one thing.
Spire Motorsports, not the start they were looking for in Iowa, as it was Corey LaJoie who ends up going around, tagging the outside wall, and bringing out the first caution.
So contact between the Spire Motorsport teammates there of Zane Smith, Corey LaJoie, towards the outer groove of the fresh asphalt turns 1 and 2. And this incident took place on lap 4. Not much damage on the left rear corner panel of the 7 of LaJoie, who was the one who backed it into the outside wall. He should be able to continue on, as all 36 drivers who started this race today will remain on the lead lap. No non-chartered entries in the field this weekend, so all 36 cars that started are the same 36 chartered cars that you see every weekend in the NASCAR Cup Series. Our slow average race pace is only 77.72 miles per hour with this early lap 4 caution, and just in the first 4 to 5 minutes of this race overall. Kyle Larson from the pole led lap 1. Blaney got around him on lap 2, and his tires, of course, nowadays through all 3 series. More sets in the Cup races than we'd see in the truck in the Xfinity Series field. They just get paid more, so the teams have bigger resources, more money to spend at the track, and the races themselves are longer, so NASCAR allows for more sets of tires here in the Cup Series. But still, with the tire roulette game that we kind of saw in practice and what we saw in the Xfinity race yesterday, these teams are not going to want to go just throwing tires on it all willy-nilly with only, say, in this instance, only 4 green flag laps on them at the time of the first caution. So Larson got the lead 1 lap. Ryan Blaney, who's the leader right now, has only led 144 laps this season. I say only, I mean, he's still in the top 10 in laps led this year, so it's not like he hasn't led a bunch of laps this season, but compared to some of the top drivers, like Larson, who's led over 500 laps more than Blaney already this year. And Blaney only has 1 stage win, and with no race wins, he is definitely lacking in playoff points. So if he can win this first stage, that'd be huge for him. 10 regular season points would be big as well if he does not get a win before the playoffs begin, so he could try to help himself lock himself into the playoffs on points when the time comes also.
Let's go, boys. And live incident. So 3 laps in and fighting for position. They're back in the 20th position as we bring out the first caution for LaJoie. Up front, the battle was pretty heated early with Blaney and Larson. Let's listen into Kyle Larson's radio.
Things fine so far. Like I heard, he's just building into it, but I beat him pretty bad on entry. I don't know if he's guarding bumps or he's just guarding grip, but I can charge in harder than he can.
Yep. Getting ready for the restart.
So Blaney is a control car for this restart, and he's actually taken the bottom. It worked for him once, but that was with a little contact. If he's going to do it cleanly, he's going to have to get a better launch. Great launch, really, by both the front row cars. Second on back was falling way back. They could not keep up with that front row. And Larson's got the advantage on that outside lane into 1 and 2 and clear. Keselowski zooms to the outside of Ryan Blaney, who maybe babied that first corner entry just a little bit. Brad smokes by him on that outside lane. That's actually Chase Briscoe in the 14, not Brad Keselowski. The paint scheme looks similar to that of what the 6 has had multiple times this season. So Chase Briscoe is the car who got the second, a different Ford on the outside there, but definitely blew the door off of Ryan Blaney's outside as he made that move on the opening lap after the restart. So single file for the front 3, 2x2 through a lot of the field from 4th on back. The battle for 4th is between Josh Berry and Tyler Reddick, as they're still side by side on the front stretch now, the 3rd lap after the restart. Reddick the car on the inside, Berry the car on the outside. Kyle Busch trying to peek his nose underneath the 4 car behind the 45. Reddick is cleared. Near contact made between Busch and Berry down the backstretch as Busch side drafts, pulls off, drives it in deep, slides up, and clears the 4. The 4 car dives to the bottom lane right behind the 8. And mainly a fight for the bottom of the racetrack for the most part right now. We'll more than likely see the groove move up towards the outer portion of the asphalt, that fresher black asphalt on the racetrack, I should say specifically, as this race wears on. We saw that in the Xfinity race yesterday. Started out around the bottom on that white line, corner after corner, lap after lap. By the time late stage 2 came, everybody was moved up towards the very top of the asphalt, using every inch of it, trying to get a slightly better run down the straightaway by a straighter line off the exit of the corner. Slightly more progressive banking up there than what you would have on the very bottom of the track as well. Top 5 on lap 13 following this first restart, following our first caution, as Kyle Larson in the lead by 0.4 of a second over Chase Briscoe. Ryan Blaney 0.6 of a second back in 3rd. 4th place for Tyler Reddick, 2 seconds off the lead, and Kyle Busch at 2.2 seconds back in 5th. Off turn 2, Blaney to the left rear corner panel of Chase Briscoe, drives it in very deep into turn 3 and takes 2nd. So lap 15, it'll be Ryan Blaney now up to the 2nd place position, getting by Chase Briscoe. First corner he had a chance to make the pass, he cleared him. And cleared him by a couple car lengths by the time they got up of the exit of turn 4. Talking about Keselowski a little bit ago, he's actually back in the 16th place position. Qualified top 10, so he's definitely free-falling in the early going of this race. Is not taking great advantage of those initial start and first restart of the day. Harrison Burton with a fairly good qualifying effort yesterday. He's actually battling Denny Hamlin just outside the top 10 for position. And one of my sleeper picks, I know it's very early, but Justin Haley from 19th to 10th. In the start of this race, he is up inside the top 10. And in fact, all 3 of my sleeper picks are in the top 10 in the early laps. Haley 10th, Berry 6th, and Briscoe 3rd. The must-have drivers were Kyle Larson, who leads this race as my win pick as well. The other must-haves, Denny Hamlin is back at 16th. He's actually lost 4 positions from his 12th place starting spot. And then Chase Elliott is 11th, who has also fallen out of the top 10. He's lost a couple spots from the start of the race as well. And the 3 don't have picks to not finish in the top 10. Ross Chastain has already lost. Actually, he's gained a few positions, but he's still outside the top 10 in 12th. Kyle Busch is in the top 10 still. He started 7th and has moved up to 5th. But again, still a long ways to go there. And then Bubba Wallace is outside the top 10 with Chastain as well. In fact, Bubba is 13th, just 1 spot behind Chastain. Well, Joy, after a spin, even further back in the field than where he had started. Started just outside the top 20. Now back around Stenhouse and Truex, who qualified outside the top 30. Moved up a few more positions since the restart. After that spin, LaJoie is actually back up to 27th, but I do think he has slightly fresher tires. I think they changed those when they came down, so we'll see a slight bit of tire fall off, mainly because of how bumpy the straightaways are on the old surface. A lot of high speeds in these corners. It's what has made this track tricky all weekend with the fresh paved asphalt in those tighter lanes on the bottom to middle of the racetrack in the corners. LaJoy definitely starting to move forward. Now up to 25th. He passed two more cars that last lap. Truex kind of following him up the way. And Denny Hamlin continues to free fall. Hamlin back in 26, maybe trying to conserve tires. I would not doubt that. That's how Hamlin won at Bristol. Although the fall off isn't there, he just doesn't want to be the one to blow a tire. So him obviously, running where he's at right now, as off the pace as he is, could at least help him survive the early going of the race. Although he is so slow right now that he is getting passed by everybody in the field. We'll listen in, see what's going on there.
About him. He's but this racetrack is going to change a great deal as it rubbers. So if your guy is running right now, he might do it later. And by the way, if your guy's running really well now, that doesn't mean he's going to later either, Dave.
Basically has stolen. Raids come back, started 10th, all the way back to 28th now, and the word he used was plowing. That's like the worst case of type. The car will not turn when he wants it to in the corner, Marty.
Meanwhile, Dave, William Byron has fallen back 4 spots after starting 4th today. What's going on with the 24 car? Listen in.
They're pretty good so far. Very good. What does it think? Good defense here.
The handling is not bad, Steve, but listen to what Rudy Tebow said. Let him make the mistakes. Play defense right now. How much of this early part of the race, Steve, for your driver is just kind of hanging on to what he can?
Well, that's absolutely just manage it. It wasn't what Byron said that I cared about. It's how he said it. Nonchalant. Feels pretty good. No panic. I've lost a couple spots. I think it was just dirty. I know he's only 26, but he acts like a mid-30-year-old driver with 500 starts. He's just so confident behind the wheel, so calm, so collected. And you see him now trying to work past the 8 of Kyle Busch.
Byron already 3 wins on the 2024 season. He's another driver. Definitely don't count him out early in this race. Kyle Larson still up front in Iowa.
All right, so Kyle Larson leads this race here in the early going. He's already stretched his lead out to 3.4 seconds, and we're barely over a dozen laps into this green flag run. But will that pace hold up, and will the right front tire hold up is the question. Pushing as fast, or faster, I should say, than any other car on the racetrack. He was about 3/10 quicker than Blaney that last lap. And even Blaney was about 4 tenths quicker than everybody else behind him. That's how fast Larson is right now. Because Blaney is 3.4 seconds off the lead in second. Chase Briscoe in third is 8 seconds off the lead already. So you can definitely tell Larson's pushing extremely hard. And he can probably back off of it a little more if he really wants to. Because, again, you don't want to have those tire failures on your end. You don't want to be the reason for that caution. 9.4 seconds off the lead is Tyler Reddick in fourth. Josh Berry still in fifth is 9.8 seconds off the lead. Daniel Suarez 11.2 seconds back in sixth. William Byron 11.5 seconds off the lead in seventh. Kyle Busch in eighth, 11.9 seconds back. Justin Haley up to ninth, 12.1 seconds off the lead. And then Joey Logano in 10th is 12.1 seconds back as well. So that is the intervals between the top 10 positions in the running order. Ryan Blaney was able to lead 8 laps today. Larson has led 23. Those were the top 2 starters in this race today as well. Larson on the pole. Blaney qualified second. Our lap 4 incident with Corey LaJoie in turn 2 was our only caution so far. Our average race speed has blipped up to 98.66 miles per hour. A little over 15 minutes into this race following the drop of the green flag this evening. You're listening live on KRC. We'll take our first ad break of the race as you're listening to the Iowa Corn 350 at the Iowa Speedway. We're up to 101 likes on the stream. Our goal usually for these Cup Series streams is to get to 150. And we are well on our way to doing so in the very early going of the stream. So be sure to hit the like button. We have well more than that many people watching right now. So let's see if we can get there early. First half of the race, potentially.
Start on /bar full app.
51. Justin Haley. Yeah, right.
Doing well.
Not just well. I mean, we knew that Justin Haley's move to Rick Ware Racing was about performance. They said it. Rick Ware, I have had some conversations with this organization. They have better motors, better equipment, newer cars, more technology, trying to improve. They thought that Haley's going to be a big step in the right direction. It's taken a little bit, but 2 top 10s in the last 4 races, currently running inside the top 10 and 9th right now.
When I talked to the team this morning, they said the hard part is what's coming easy to them, and that's making fast race cars. It's everything else, the execution. So that's what they're focusing on for the next 10 races, getting everything perfect. That's from the pit crew to the setup changes throughout a race. So right now they have the speed. It's about putting together full races, Marty.
Yeah, on top of the screen, yes, your eyes do not deceive you. That is Denny Hamlin going down a lap here, just 35 laps into the race. And meanwhile, Alex Goldman, regarding dark horse picks today, started 33rd once everything cycled, actually took the green flag in 31st. He is up to 16th. He's gained 15 spots. Blake Harris told me earlier today, Steve, we've had the speed all year long. What we're doing better lately is finishing the race. It's what an impressive first stint here for Alex Goldman.
Marty, there are some that disagree, but I think without a doubt, this 48 will go to victory lane at some point this year. They run too good, too consistently. He's never been a flashy race team, not go out, dominate, and lead laps, but they know how to hang around and win these toss-up races.
He can surprise some people, and looking strong here today as he's moved from the back toward the middle of the pack and looking to break into the top 15. Martin Truex Jr., he is currently in the 24th position, and the announcement was made on Friday that he would be stepping away from time racing. Some people expected it. It's been over the last couple of years that announcement was possible out there. Such incredible numbers for Martin Truex Jr. 2 times the Xfinity Series champion. He's won a Cup Series champion at that, but decided that it was time for a change. It doesn't want to put together the years of work that he has to do every single season to come out and race on a weekly basis.
How about though, Jeff? He said, I heard the number 10 in 2025. We didn't get any real number until you put him on the spot. You got him committed to some races. We put him on the couch. He relaxed.
He's such a good race car driver and a good person. And the thing about Martin is he won the championship this year, like Rick just said, and it's rarely do drivers leave or athletes leave when they're at the top of the career, but Martin Truex Jr. can still get it done.
Absolutely. He'll go out on top. You see his crew chief, James Small, right there. I talked to James this morning. Wanted to get the vibe of the team and the shop now that the announcement is out there. Not surprised. They expected this. They knew it was coming. But James told me it was good to get it out of the way. He said this discussion has happened and it has been a significant distraction. So now that it's out in the open, he feels like they can focus just on racing. He told me the first goal, win a race. The second goal, win a championship and go out on top.
Lofty goals, but he can do it. And the reason we know that is because he's done it in the past.
You mentioned the 51 running well up inside the top 10. Another driver having a good run. 21 of Harrison Burton currently in the 15th position. His team, I think, is looking for a little bit of a highlight, right? He's had 5 career top 10s. He had 1 this year at Talladega. It seems like they either are on the wrong end of the strategy or the wrong end of a wreck. They haven't seemed to found anything to go their way. They definitely need more speed, but they haven't had a whole lot of luck to go with the lack of speed. Cars looking good so far this weekend, Dave.
Well, Stevie's by 25th, so if you wonder why that happened, when I talked to Jeremy Mullins, the crew chief, about that, he said, well, we kind of over-adjusted. We had practice, thought we needed to go where we went, and it was too far. So coming back to the field now is not a huge surprise for Burton. He's up to 15.
Another young driver that's having a good day and has had a lot of speed as of late, really this whole year as Noah Gragson. We all saw him in practice on Friday. He was absolutely flying. He's one of the guys that would not surprise me to see win this race, and did not qualify well like a lot of guys didn't, but he has driven up to 17. So recovering well from what they, an underachieving qualifying session, but they still have a good race car.
Well, a good race car, and that's important because look what's happening. Kyle Larson has already lapped to the 30th place car, 25 laps to go. He has 2 seconds on Blaney, 10 seconds on Josh Berry in third. This 5 car is really putting a
Point out the number of laps we've run now. 24 laps have been run. In practice on Friday, it was about that 20-lap mark when we started to see tire issues. Are these crew chiefs, teams, drivers right now saying, okay, are we still good? Anybody feeling vibrations out there?
Well, they're definitely concerned. I don't know if we see as much vibrations as just a tire failure. I think the slower pace and the sunshine has helped. These smart crew chiefs and engineers have made adjustments. But remember, it's easy to be a little conservative to start. But as the race goes, as the sun sets, when it's time to go, time to turn that window, how aggressive do you dare be with air pressure, and how much harder could the driver get?
And as a driver, I'm nervous because if we have the tire failures like we had on Friday, I'm not going to get a warning. It's just going to fail. And so, yes, I'm nervous right now because you're flying around this racetrack. It's going to be a big hit. Speaking of tires, a lot of conversation about tires aren't going to matter. They all run the same speed. Well, this 7 car got in that spin early. They came down pit road, put on 4 tires, and he is driven up to 19. And we're not the only one noticing this. The crew chiefs on pit road, the drivers, everybody is noticing this drive towards the middle of the pack, and it's going to make you think, hey, are tires worth putting on where they came into this race thinking they didn't matter that much?
Saw inside the car 113 degrees now. The temperature for Corey LaJoy at speed here. Also looking in on Ryan Sparks. Again, will join that team.
Here you go. That was Corey. Little too tight, little neutral in. Good feedback. As the 5 of Kyle Larson laps Corey's teammate. 77 as far as the Hocevar. A little bit of a moment here for the 5. Let's take a peek. Ooh, yeah. That wiggle real early.
And the 16 gets under the wall in turn 2, bringing out the caution for the second time.
Looks like that right front failure.
There's contact and a flat right front. We'll have to see which came first, the tire or the contact. Second day in a row. Big hit yesterday for AJ in the Xfinity car. I mean, a big, big hit. Seems like, I don't know, the shape of this track, when they have tire issues, the angle of the car into the wall is definitely not what you'd like to see. That's a good break for Carson Hocevar. I think he might be in the position for the free pass. Let's see, Jeff Tire first, maybe?
Way out of line.
Yeah, fortunately,
yep,
he felt it, and he was up the racetrack, and fortunately, it failed where it did. It didn't fail in the middle of the corner, so it wasn't as big of an impact.
So let's just talk a little bit. Yesterday, the tires were kind of getting too hot, blistering, shaking, vibrating. What's happening here is because there's so much load. It's really called a belt failure. What that basically means is the tire has not enough air or too much camber or not much load. And what happens right there at the corner of the tire, it just bends and bends and bends and bends, kind of like a coat hanger. It finally bends too much that something inside the tire breaks, starts losing even more air, and then it finally gets too low that it just gives up and it goes flat. The problem with that is drivers sometimes, Jeff, to your fear, you don't usually get a lot of heads up. Like, luckily for him, he felt it at the end of the straightaway, but unlike a tire that shakes, you don't normally get laps of notice.
And Steve, you being my crew chief, you can make it where we never blow a tire. Like, you could put so much air in the tire and take all the camber out where it's never going to blow a tire and I'm going to run dead last. So it's easy to say, well, be conservative, but low air pressure and camber makes the car go faster. So it is a balancing act between making the car live, making the tires live, and making the car drive well. And that's the challenge that every one of these teams has ahead of them for today.
I love the looks of the crew chief. Brings me right back to just how much is going on. I take for granted how much information we have up here. You kind of have to be down on the pit box, and they have all the screens and the computers. But, man, sometimes you can just get stuck in your own little world down there. They do such a good job of controlling chaos. Let's see who does what with only 17 laps to go on the stage. Larson to pit road. I assume everyone on the lead lap will use this opportunity to get fresh tires. Marty?
Look at that gap Kyle Larson had coming to pit road. William Byron, his teammate, up to third, said the car was tight in the center. Not too bad. And then Davey said the tires started to shake towards the end of that run, but it wasn't significant.
Pace Briscoe gives up 5th for 4 new, fresh Goodyear tires. Says when they pick up the throttle, the right rear just isn't in the track. They'll make adjustments for that.
Kyle Larson telling his team, I cut better than the others, just a little bit tight in traffic, but good in clean air. They put 4 French Goodyear tires on that machine of Kyle Larson. He is down and away.
Synchronization impressive for the 5 team as they win the race off of pit road. And you see the top four all holding their positions. A two-tire stop for Corey LaJoie means you've quite a few spots coming off of pit road. It's a 16 there of A.J. Allmendinger. That's a right front tire into the wall hard here in Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, the potential tire blowout is a big reason why you would want to take tires here, but we did see several indications yesterday in the Xfinity race where drivers would take no tires, and although they would end up losing the lead or losing the top few positions, they would pretty much settle in around like 5th through 8th, 5th through the back of the top 10. So we could see some tire strategies from that aspect today. Corey LaJoie taking 2 tires there to get himself up in the top 5 is a big key to that. Now, granted, he took 4 tires during the first caution because he was the result of the spin that brought out the yellow on lap 4. But he did still take 2 tires here, which means he still has 2 more left to take 2 tires later if he wants. Granted, they would be left side tires, so I don't think that would be necessarily as big of a help, I guess, in that situation, by way of saving the amount of tires. But I think track position wise, he should be able to hold on fairly well here. And it's the right fronts that are blowing out consistently, too. There was a left front blowout on John Hunter Nemechek late in the race yesterday, but that was because of contact with another car on a restart. Same for Austin Hill, I think, too. So obviously, if you make contact that cuts a tire down, it could cut any tire down. Less likely here in the Cup Series with these very stiff next-gen bodies, but still could happen. Quick shout outs to some of the others that are tuning in that I didn't get shouted out earlier. Chris Davis, Game Slugger, thanks for tuning in. Historic Cinematics, Kitbit. Also, welcome into the stream. Susan Greenland, Jeremy Granger Jr., Killian Nope. Also, welcome into the stream. A lot of people watching right now, 114 likes. Be sure to hit that like button. Let's try to make this the most liked stream on the season. I don't have that number on me right now. I'll have to check throughout the rest of this race, but thank you for listening live on KRC. We'll take another ad break, and we'll get back to the finish of Stage 1 coming up shortly on this next restart.
Up again and start.
So you never want to go a lap down, but if you do, you want it to happen just like it just did for all of these cars that you just saw pass the pace car. Because with only 14 laps to go in the stage, they're going to come back around. They're going to drop the green flag with 12 to go. So that gives them enough time to stay on racetrack and not get lapped. And then the caution will come out for the stage end. They'll all come down pit road. They'll be back on the lead lap, get 4 tires. So little things in racing matter, and when the caution comes out, had a big advantage for all those guys that got lapped.
Steve, what about Suarez and Keselowski both staying out? They did not come to pit road.
They did not come to pit road. I really think this is a race for a stage point. I think Brad Keselowski, he's won that race. He's in the playoffs, but he doesn't have a whole lot of playoff points, and there's an opportunity to win this stage and get another playoff point. Same for the 99. Remember, this risk for these front two is smaller because they have both won a race. So now it's about filling that bucket. Now back to Jeff's point about fresh tires on the 7. This is going to be the real test because they're going to have to try to hold off brand new tires. They actually may fire better than the Stickers. This may work for the short 10-lap run. A lot's going to be learned here.
Yeah, 2-tire stop for the 7. Just want to see if 2 tires work out well for Corey LaJoie. But again, as we mentioned, they did not come. Suarez and Keselowski did not come to pit road this most recent caution, so they are on the same tires they started the race with.
All right, 12 to go. Stage 1, green flag back in the air. Again, the top 2 stayed out of the pits entirely and are on older tires, that being Daniel Suarez and Brad Keselowski. Keselowski was the starter on the outside of row 1, or inside of row 1, and Suarez was on the outside. Larson quickly gets by the 6, gets to the inside of the 99 into turn 3, and Larson is back out in front in less than a lap. Keselowski's free-falling as he was 3 wide middle in the center of 3 and 4. Now a couple other cars 3 wide just in front of him, as they still try to split around the 99 and the 6. Suarez holding on to 3rd for the time being. Blaney just beat him for 2nd into turn 1. Josh Berry's in 3rd, and LaJoie on the 2 fresh right sides, but the old left side still hanging on to the top 10 also. He's got William Byron up above him. Chase Elliott pretty tight middle, 3 wide, making a little bit of contact with Kyle Busch to his outside, and that's because I believe he might have gotten tagged from Logano underneath him. Larson for the lead. Larson gets loose, almost tags the left rear Blaney. Blaney got arrow loose, just trying to keep it high and above the 5 car, and Ryan Blaney will take the lead with 9 laps to go in stage 1. Playoff point on the line here. Blaney no race wins this season. A lot less playoff points in that bucket that Steve Letarte was talking about than what Kyle Larson has. Blaney's come close to a race win a couple times this season. 1 car bouncing off the wall on the exit of turn 4. The darker colored car might have been Ty Gibbs in the 54. He's outside 3 wide now. Christopher Bell, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. underneath him. Not a lot of room. They're in the middle of the pack. Gibbs around 18th place. Doesn't seem like he's hit the wall hard enough to have some sort of a toe link issue or anything of that nature, so he'll keep on keeping on. We continue to stay green. 7 laps to go now in the stage. Blaney and Larson far and away were the fastest 2 cars in that first tire stint of the race before the A.J. Allmendinger caution, which was the most recent yellow we had seen, and now pit stops since then. Blaney was able to get around Larson on the 2nd lap after the restart on the outside of him through 3 and 4, cleared him off the exit of that same corner, and in turns 1 and 2, with 6 to go in the stage, Larson trying to build a comeback and try to get this playoff point away from the 12. Yeah, 3 wide on a short track just didn't work out well for him there. 3 wide on a short track usually doesn't work, and we've definitely seen some very tight circumstances in the corners all weekend. And through both the Xfinity race last night, yesterday afternoon, I should say specifically, and so far early this evening. Remember, this race will end in the nighttime. It started just after 6 p.m. local time, but it's going to be relatively dark outside by the finish of this race. So the track's going to go through a lot of changes. It's very hot, very slick now. It'll start to tighten up a bit as the track temps and the air temp continues to drop into the nightfall. Larson within about 2 car lengths of Ryan Blaney. He's running a half a groove to a full groove wider than him in turns 3 and 4. This will allow him to have slight bit better straightaway speed down the front. Blaney's going to have to try to take his line away here soon. He does. Larson charges to the inside of the 12. He was stating on his radio during that first run that he felt he could charge the corner harder than Ryan Blaney earlier. That's how he was able to extend his lead, and now they're side by side through 3 and 4 as Larson got underneath them off turn 2 on the one end of the track, but can't stay side by side with him on the other end. He was underneath him halfway through the corner, and then you could definitely see the 5 get a little loose. He washed up the track behind Blaney, and Blaney held on. 2 to go in the stage now. Lap and a half now down the backstretch, coming on the final lap of the stage this time by. Blaney goes up high, trying to take Larson's line away again. Larson doesn't gain as much time down to the bottom as what he did the top side of the racetrack in that same end last time by. So since Blaney moved up, Larson definitely not closing in on him as quickly. Blaney goes down a bit through 1 and 2. Larson slightly up. He's gaining ground on the backstretch. He's within 2 car lengths again into 3 and 4. Blaney up, Larson down, not all the way to the white line, but not close enough to make the pass either. Ryan Blaney will win stage 1 at the Iowa Speedway by about 0.2 of a second over Kyle Larson in second. Daniel Suarez third, William Byron fourth, Josh Berry fifth, Joey Logano 6th, Corey LaJoie 7th, Brad Keselowski 8th, Chase Elliott 9th, and Kyle Busch rounds out the top 10. 1 point per position through the top 10 for the regular season stage points, and a playoff point to Ryan Blaney to win the stage. 2nd stage win of the year for Blaney. And it'll be interesting to see if we get any pit stops coming up this time. We only had a 12-lap green flag run to the end of the stage from that last restart. I'd imagine most of the drivers at the front of the field will keep their track position. Definitely everybody that took the wave round should come down and get tires. The free pass went to Carson Hocevar, who I believe was 27th when the caution flag came out initially for A.J. Allmendinger blowing a right front tire. Since that impact into the wall, Allmendinger is out of the race. He's the only driver out and off the lead lap at this point. Daniel Hemrick, Denny Hamlin, Kaz Grala, Zane Smith, Eric Jones, Todd Gilliland, Austin Dillon all took the wave around. I believe John Hunter Nemechek also was lapped down, and they all took the wave around during that caution flag period. So Larson leads the most laps from the pole in stage 1, 48 laps led. He led 3 different times. Suarez led for 4 laps during the caution. And then the first lap after the restart, Larson got to the lead, but Blaney on the second lap after the restart got by him. And Ryan Blaney has now led 20 laps in the race today because he did lead a few in the first dozen as well after the Corey LaJoie incidents back on lap 4. So Blaney wins stage 1, Larson second. Far and away the two fastest cars so far, at least of those that qualified towards the front. There's some drivers that have moved through the field quite quickly that just qualified fairly deep in the field. It's just taking them time to get through cars. But we're seeing a lot of passing really on this racetrack today. I'd say we've seen more passing today than what we've seen on probably any short track so far this season. It's definitely been an interesting race in this first stage. But the 70 lap opening stage is now complete. Stage 2 will begin shortly. At 121 likes on the stream. Again, our goal is to get to 150, but let's try to get this to be the most liked stream this season. That'd be absolutely huge as well. Get the broadcast back up on my phone. Accidentally logged out of it for a second, so I was going to go back through and look at what the most liked stream of the season is. We got pit stops going on.
After staying out on that last restart, he said to his crew chief, a short grip and on the long run with front grip. Yep.
Making their way down this end of pit road and Express. He said the car was going just a little bit free. And then hopefully Corey LaJoie making his stop there at the bottom. Feels really good. It's a tick tight on throttle for that Chevrolet.
You're seeing some of the cars come off of pit road and really looking forward to what's going to happen here. Marty and Kip are going to join the 20 and 7 teams to such fans at the details of the race day happening on the pit box, over the wall, and in the spotter's stand. That will happen coming up in stage 2.
All right, not sure exactly what that entails, but we'll see throughout the course of the USA Network broadcast tonight. And more than likely throughout the course of the season, it sounds like maybe some new addition coming to the broadcast here throughout the summer. So we'll wait to see the full organized restart order now that they've gotten a lap in after the pit stop. So Ryan Blaney won the race out of the pits. He'll be first on the restart. Kyle Larson is second. William Byron third. Joey Logano fourth. And Chase Elliott is going to be the top 5. So those are the top 5 drivers, again, for this upcoming restart. We're at the 124 likes. We are definitely getting there. Stage 2 will be coming up shortly here. Take an ad break. You're listening live on KRC to the Iowa Corn 350 at the Iowa Speedway. Short track racing on a Sunday night. I did forget to set my fantasy lineup. I had a night race, so I had a few extra hours before the stream today, and I still forgot to get the fantasy lineup in. Don't forget that locks at the end of stage 2. That stinks because I didn't pick my bonus points. At least my team from last week would be in for this week. All right, I'm about to look at the most liked stream of the season. I feel like it's like one. Nah, it's got to be in the 200s. I'm pretty sure we've had a few of them in the 200s this year. Back, Dago is 178. Daytona had to be pretty high. Martinsville is 164. 175 at Coda. Well, Daytona was ran on a Monday, so we only have 135 there. Yeah, I mean, we could do this. So what was it? 178 is the number to beat? Lost it. Now we gotta find it again. Dang it, I can't find it. I think I said 177 or 178. Oh, no, we did have it at 200. Kansas was 207. I missed that. I thought we had a 200 one. Yeah, 179 was Talladega. So 207 likes the Kansas Cup race this season. That is the most liked stream of the year. So that's going to be, I think, our new goal tonight because we'll easily get to our 150 goal, considering that we are. So once again, our like goal has now switched to 208 because 207 is the most we've had in a stream this season at Kansas. So 208 to break the like record for the year. So definitely hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new. We have live NASCAR commentary streams every NASCAR race weekend for NASCAR Cup Xfinity Truck Series races, as well as Cup practice and qualifying streams all throughout the season. Hemrick too fast exiting pit road, caught with a speeding penalty. He'll be at the tail end of the field. The rest of them going green to start stage 2 at Iowa. A couple cars fanning out 3 wide to the bottom of the racetrack, heading for turn 1. No contact anywhere in there. 4 wide, even further back off the exit of turn 2 outside the top 20. And still 4 wide down into 3 and 4 as they try to get organized. It's very tight door-to-door back there. Blaney all over the left rear of Larson again. Blaney's had good fire-off speed today. He's led on restarts a bunch. That's how he won that last stage on that 12-lap dash and was able to hold on in front of Larson. Larson's long-run speed is there, which is something I noted in the pre-race with how he was running in practice, so that's not a huge surprise. But Larson fending off Blaney on this restart this time around, doesn't want the 12 to get back in front of him. And it was Blaney who actually was the control car in the restart. It does seem like whoever the control car is in the restart has not had the advantage tonight, which is very unusual. And that doesn't matter whether they're on the bottom or the top, it seems like, because Blaney actually won the race out of the pits, was the control car there. Larson got to the lead, and has been opposite of that on multiple occasions. Heavy contact, and around goes Noah Gragson. Caution is out. He basically got saved because of the car pushing him up the racetrack. I don't think he hit the wall. The caution is out. I think it was Justin Haley who might have gotten into him. I'm not sure who initiated the contact with Gregson. We'll have to listen in.
So John Hunter never checked that.
Nemechek.
That's why I took a caution because they thought it was going to be a wreck. I did too. I don't know how it wasn't a wreck.
Such a creature instantly hates you flat spot the tires. What happened? Here's going to be Noah's frustration. Look at John Hunter. They're already 2 lanes down. Now 10 does block, but then the 42 kind of enters so low and so shallow. He doesn't mean to get into him. He's loose. The 42's loose, but he still was the aggressor and caused the accident.
They were fighting for the 21st position.
Yeah, it's frustrating when you come out, you get a run on somebody and they just block you that badly down the back straightaway. And John Hunter's just like, hey, I'm going to ship it in here, and this is the end result.
I could see that. To your point, if the 10 doesn't move down, then the 42 gets to his inside and he's kind of in a more proper line to enter the corner.
Yeah, you've been around this long enough to know they're not exactly rational thinkers in there with the helmets on.
Well, it's real simple. If I'm the crew chief of the 42, you blocked. And if I'm the crew chief of the 10, you wrecked me.
Exactly.
But what a save by Noah Gregson. Yeah. Able to get that thing going the right direction again.
So the interesting thing is what do you do here? That's a big slide on tires. I don't know what the right call is. There's still a lot of laps left.
I mean, I'll be honest. Where he's at now, 33rd in line, I think I would come in and take him off. This isn't like the old style where you have to glue lug nuts back on to put them back in. Other concerns, you clean them up, put them right back on later in the race. So I think I would want to look at them to make sure we haven't done something to hurt the tire.
Well, he's had such a fast car. I mean, we've seen speed out of the 10. This is a situation where it's very early in the race. There's still 268 laps to go in this race. We see the 20 team looking pretty relaxed. Doesn't seem like they're going to be making their way onto pit road anytime soon. Well, it's not too late to get in the game with NASCAR Fantasy Live. You can create an entry by picking 5 drivers plus a garage driver to compete Fantasy line lets you keep tabs of your lineup and make in-race adjustments to maximize the score. Visit NASCAR.com/fantasy. Well, it's up to 116 now for the driver of the 7, Corey LaJoy.
Oh, Larson's pitting.
Larson is on pit. A little surprised here, and a lonely pit
Wow.
road for Kyle Larson. Kim.
And when I talked to crew chief Cliff Daniels this morning, he said they were laying everything out on the table in terms of strategy. He said, we didn't know what we were going to do until the race started. You're seeing it in action in real time, electing to come down, but it does look like they have a tire issue on the right side. So maybe not a strategy call, just a tire issue for Kyle Larson.
And I think the tire issue, looking at their radio, is that contact with the 12. I think he was afraid that he had run the sidewall of one of the tires. I think it's the left rear they're talking about, so we'll have to see what it looks like after it comes off the car.
Larson's the only one to come down pit road. We didn't even see the 10 after this amazing.
All right, so Kyle Larson pits from the lead. Ryan Blaney will now be the new front runner on the restart once again. This will be the third different time Blaney has led tonight. And this is our fourth caution of the race, our third for incident involving the 54-42 and the 10. No major damage that has dropped any of those cars off the lead lap. Big slide by Gregson. He actually saved it from hitting the wall. So just a little bit of contact between him and the 42. And the 54 really didn't get much of that, but he was considered involved in the incident with the slight bit of contact nonetheless. So again, Ryan Blaney will be the new leader on the restart with Kyle Larson pitting. Nobody else in the top portion of the field pitted. Again, a potential tire issue after contact on the restart there for Larson, so they just wanted to be safe, bring him in, but he's going to lose a ton of track position. And now the fastest car in the field is going to be having to come from the back. Long ways to go in this one, so he's got plenty of time to get up there, but now he's got to survive all the carnage from the craziness we've seen on the restarts further back in the field. We've already seen them 3-4 wide even that last time. And an incident 3 wide, of course, just a few laps after the restart in the middle of the pack, right around those 20th place drivers or so. So Ryan Blaney will lead. William Byron's going to be second on the restart. Joey Logano third. Chase Elliott fourth. And Kyle Busch will be fifth. Average race speed has dipped down below 90 miles per hour now. We're about 50 minutes into this race after the drop of the green flag. Again, 4 cautions. Larson's led the most with 54 laps led from the pole. Blaney has led 27 and counting. And Suarez led 4 during the caution. They're the only 3 different leaders in this race, but despite only 3 different leaders, we've had 7 lead changes. Most of those between the 12 and the 5. Restart ensuing here shortly. Julio Cesar Salas, thanks for tuning into the stream. Pulling for the Watermelon Man, Ross Chastain. Wade Zielinski, many others. Thanks for tuning in. Restart should be coming in here pretty shortly. We'll not take an ad break this time. And it'll be, I believe, lap 17 on the restart. I believe they've already gotten the one-to-go signal. 249 laps led this season for Kyle Larson on the 3 short tracks, less than 1 mile in length. Richmond, Bristol, and Martinsville. It's led over 675 as we run here today. Green flag. Back in the air. Blaney and Byron race for the lead into turns 1 and 2. Blaney took the outside of row 1 on this initial restart. Byron trying to clear for second. Logano is there to his outside, though. Couldn't quite pull up on top of him. Door to door for that second place position, and Logano's clear for second off of turn 2. Penske 1-2 at the front of the field. Logano with a great run off of turn 4 is now going for the lead under Blaney through 1 and 2. Can't get the car to stick, though, enough to sit back in line behind him, and Byron may have a chance to take over second. Logano blocks him into turn 3. Hendrick cars of Bowman and Elliott running side by side for position. 3 wide middle and contact between the SHR Fords of Barry and Briscoe. Both of the sleeper picks for today's race making a bit of contact inside the top 10 there. Suarez still camping out underneath him. Pretty good strategy call by them staying out when they did. They'll have an extra set of tires, and they're still up in the top 10. Keselowski was on that same strategy call, but he has since fallen back to 19th, even after getting stage points in stage 1. Still trying to get organized back there a little bit outside the top 10. A lot of 2x2 racing still going on outside the top 10 positions. Cindric's going to be split 3 wide middle between a couple cars on the backstretch now also. Right around 12th, 13th, 14th place. So the order after the restart in the top 10 is Ryan Blaney in the lead, Joey Logano second, William Byron third, Kyle Busch fourth, Ross Chastain fifth, Alex Bowman sixth, Chase Elliott seventh, Josh Berry eighth, Chase Briscoe ninth, and Michael McDowell is in the 10th place position. Again, that is the top 10 in the running order following this restart. Still all within about 2.5 seconds of each other at the front of the field. Seen the quickest laps during a green flag run throughout practice for Xfinity Cup, Xfinity Race, about a dozen or so laps into the run. Not right away off the restart, and that's because on cold tires with new asphalt, we've kind of heard this several times during the broadcast last week at Sonoma with their repave, tires tend to spin a little bit more, got to get heat in them to create a little bit more grip. So that is why, with the repaved corners here at the Iowa Speedway, that we see the faster laps during the course of a run, 10 plus laps into the run. Then they'll fall off a little bit on the older surface down the straightaways as we get very deep into a run before what we've seen so many times this weekend already, right front tire blowout as they heat up a little too much. Big corner speeds are up with the asphalt being freshly paved. Tires can't keep up with it. Put too much air in the tires to keep from having a blowout early in the run with the sidewalls down basically on the ground. When they start to ripple, it's kind of a lose-lose situation there. Hopefully they can get this fixed in the years to come. I will say it's been more tame in this race. We've only had one tire blowout so far, and we've ran almost 100 laps. We had 4 of them in a 50-minute practice session, and nobody was able to really go, other than Chase Elliott, longer than 25 laps into a green flag run. So, on one set of tires. So we have seen improvement just from what the teams have learned to try to avoid having any tire failures at their own cost today. But unfortunately for AJ Allmendinger, in the Xfinity race yesterday, he also had a right front tire failure. Kyle Larson has already, from the rear of the field, made his way up to 17th as he clears Corey LaJoie for position off of turn 2. 15 positions gained since the restart for him, 12 for Carson Hocevar. Lap 29 this time by.
So way in the stock car, he kind of only knows one speed, and it's fun to watch.
One of the best drivers in the world whenever he gets behind. We saw that from the Indy 500 that he ran earlier in May as we're riding along on the Toyota onboard with Christopher Bell. Bell now has a mirror full, and maybe look out the side. Kyle Larson, the man on the move, continuing to go toward the front. Bell running in the 15th position, just passed by the 5. Bell going by the Hamburglar. Tyler Reddick
Makes me hungry just saying it.
a little bit closer for the lead now as Logano has closed the gap to about a car length when they get through the turns.
This battle for the lead is important. You know, Joey Logano has talked about how their mile-and-a-half program is not where he wants it to be. This is where he feels they have got to get points. He's in a tight point battle. He's in a position where he may not make the playoffs. That's hard to even imagine. So there's a lot of pressure on Logano and this tight team to get points and have a good day. So far, it started off good.
Josh Berry trying to still get by that 24 of William Byron.
Well, I was going to mention Josh Berry. We've seen 2 tires now on a couple different cars. Josh Berry did take 2 tires in lap 73, which was the end of stage 1. So, versus William Byron in front of him.
40 lap stage, so those cars that didn't come in, what number are we looking for when they have to come to pit road?
Well, everybody can run a little over 100. So the guys that were last on pit road in lap 54. They probably need to come after yellows, probably 160, 165. They always seem to go a little further than they tell me they can. So I'll say 160, 165.
And Marty, how's it going on the 20 pit box?
Let's chat with Adam Stevens from the back of the field. 16th for Christopher Bell. We heard Christopher say he struggles. Playing it pretty tight now, so we're gonna have to come up with a little bit better compromise. But we kind of had a bad spot with our camera and our air pressure trying to make it live, and it's hurt the short run. And see that and talk it up. Here.
As we catch up with crew chief Brian Sparks, Brian, we've already seen you guys mix up the strategy in terms of 2 tires and 4. How much more can we see in terms of variety of strategies?
Well, obviously they had that spin leading them, so we had to do something different to get back up front. Corey's doing a nice job. Gambridge, Chevrolet Camaro's really fast today. We're super pumped about that. We got a few tricks up our sleeve here. We'll probably say to the end.
And what's hard, not only does Ryan serve as crew chief, he's a dual role competition director also for Spire Motorsports.
Yeah, Lance was hired in when Spire decided to run their own charters. He did a really nice job growing that organization, calling good races for the 7. I want to go back to what Adam Stevens.
Joey Logano is keeping up with Ryan Blaney during this green flag run. He's only 0.3 of a second off of him, and in fact, that last lap, they were equal on lap time to the 1,000th of a second, each running a 24.035. And even Byron in third, who's a second off the lead, was only 5/1,000ths of a second quicker that last lap than both of those drivers, as he ran a 24.030. So just over 100 laps into this race so far today. Your full field running order to this point, about an hour into this race, has Ryan Blaney leading, Joey Logano second, William Byron third, Josh Berry fourth, Chase Elliott fifth, Kyle Busch in 6th, Ross Chastain 7th, Michael McDowell 8th, Kyle Larson already up to 9th on this restart after being at the tail end of the field. Is one of the only cars that pitted during that last yellow. Alex Bowman is in 10th, Daniel Suarez 11th, Bubba Wallace 12th, Chase Briscoe 13th, Christopher Bell 14th, Ty Gibbs 15th. 16th is Tyler Reddick, Corey LaJoie 17th, Brad Keselowski 18th, Carson Hocevar 19th, and Ryan Preece is 20th. 21st for Austin Dillon, Martin Truex Jr. 22nd, Noah Gragson 23rd, Justin Haley 24th, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 25th. Todd Gilliland 26th, Austin Cindric 27th, John Henry Nemechek 28th, Chris Buescher 29th, Denny Hamlin is 30th. 31st for Harrison Burton, Zane Smith is 32nd, 33rd for Kaz Grala, Daniel Hemrick 34th, and Eric Jones 35th. He's the last car on the lead lap as AJ Allmendinger in 36 is out of the race. Only driver not on the lead lap and out. Ryan Blaney is fastly approaching Kyle Larson for the most laps led. 51, make that 52 laps led for Blaney at this point in the race. Larson led 54 so far, and 4 laps led during a caution period for Daniel Suarez, who didn't pit during one of the yellows late in stage 1. 4 cautions total in the race, 1 in stage 2, 3 for incident total, and then the stage break at lap 70. You're listening live on KRC to the Iowa Corn 350 at the Iowa Speedway. Full screen commercial break on the USA Network. You're listening live to more of the race coverage when they come back from break this time by. Before we take an ad break of our own, I want to shout out John Barber. Thanks for the $10 super chat. Keegan's command of NASCAR stats is impressive. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm just reading what I have in front of me. That's all it is. Try to remember some stats. I take notes on every race before the race happens. Usually it takes me a couple hours to do that every morning. In this case, I didn't do it in the morning because I knew the race was at night, so I actually did it like early this afternoon, about 2:30, 3:30. And then up until about a half hour or so before the start of the race today, I was just pulling notes, pulling stats for the race. Yeah, I do that every day. And then, of course, I have these stats in front of me on the NASCAR.com website, so at least like for this season, I could just like click on any driver I want. It'll show me all their finishes for the season, so it's pretty well organized there, I will say. Definitely makes it easier for myself. So somebody mentioned in the chat that the raw feed looked like the numbers were like not readable for some reason, so I tried to move the screen a little bit. If I moved it too, it looks like I did move it a little too far. I'll fix that real quick too. I'm trying to get it lined up so my camera isn't covering any of the stat lines there, and that they are readable as well. I think that's a little better. Fuel nominal. I do have my die cast for the end of the stage also.
Tire went down. Fortunately, not spontaneously. Just a little stop. See, the right front's down.
Fortunately, the tire carpet stayed on it, so really no reason for a yellow. Didn't really put any debris out there for the rest of the teams.
Unfortunate for McDowell, as you mentioned, running up toward the front. Now McDowell will be at least a lap down as the battle for 6 continues to heat up. Watch Chastain just to the inside door of Kyle Busch. And Chastain makes the clear.
Jeff, we've been here all weekend, and I know what the drivers are talking about because they just look fast. I know that sounds silly because they're fast every week, but you would expect them to use more brake and have to slow the cars down to make these corners, but they just carry so much mid-corner speed.
You've had to change the mentality. You know, a lot of race car drivers that are running here today have run this racetrack, but it was without the rebate, and it was a slick, big short track. And now you have a high grip, small mile-and-a-half type racetrack. It is completely different than what they had here in the past. And yes, it's been a change for teams, been a change for drivers. But Dave, it's been fun for us to watch. Remember the radio at the caution came out.
Now Lewis and out of breath. But since then, Lewis has been fast on the subsequent restart. Bubba Wallace is 17. He's worked his way up to 12. Rimus is coming.
And like you said, he was out of breath. I mean, you could hear him. That shows you the workload. You know, he was. This around here won't be any fun at all.
What about where his hands are, Jeff? Hold the steering wheel.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people drive like that. I mean, everybody has a different driving style. There's no right or wrong way to do it. But you see, he's pretty steady on the wheel. No big movements. Car must be driving pretty decent. He's running 12, making good lap time.
Fight for the second spot coming up here between Byron and Logano.
Yeah, Chase Elliott has run this duo down, running that second lane that you talked about, Jeff. You see the 9 purposely running one lane up. How about the 9 car got the win? Maybe a little on some driver's radar, which is surprising where he is in the points. He's second in points. He hasn't run outside the top 20 yet this year. I mean, what an amazing, consistent year for the 9.
That win at Texas earlier this year got him into the playoffs.
Watch this. Watch that 24 car. You know, these people talk a lot about these cars all being built from the same people, but they're not set up anywhere near the same. Watch the 24 as he goes into turn 1. Watch how big the bump is compared to the 22. They're coming down the front straightaway. As they approach turn 1, watch the back of the 24 car. Big bounce. Morning.
Jeff talked about the performance of Chase Elliott. I talked to Alan Gustin about that earlier this week. He told me it's very reminiscent of our championship run. You guys are right. It's been a phenomenal season. Best ever average for Chase Elliott so far through 16 races. And it's interesting, Steve. Alan told me this morning at the beginning of runs, he was going to ask Chase to take it easy, take care of his tires for about 10 laps. That's showing up at speed. Later in runs, the battle for second goes on right in front of him. But an interesting comment from Alan Gustin. That makes sense to you, Steve. Take care of the tires early. He'll take care of you later.
Yeah, Byron clears Logano. I totally agree with Alan. You know, so much experience on top of the pit box. What he's saying is, if you go a little easy, just a little, and take care of that right front tire, maybe I can start a half a pound lower or a pound lower, or maybe have a quarter degree more camber. But if you're, you know, too stubborn, or you say you can't and you have to go, I believe you and I'm going to give you what you need. And that's perfect example of how a driver crew chief has to be in unison. because Allen asked Chase to do something, sets the car up a certain way, and I have 100% confidence that Chase is executing exactly what Allen asked for at the beginning of these runs.
You know, we talked to Joey Logano on our Countdown to Green show about the fact that he's outside the playoff grid. And when I spoke with him this morning, he said, yes, they're uncomfortable points-wise, but they have had solid days. He feels like their speed is in the ballpark to consistently run at top five. We're seeing him here today. He's running third right now, just a little bit loose in and loose off, Marty.
Hanging into the top 10 right now. He's in the 9th position. And he admitted, hey, we found some speed this weekend. Remember, short tracks the last couple of years have been the big struggle for them. But the handling is starting to go away on the 8 car. Right here on corner X, car's way too tight, Steve. And then on corner entry, it's way too free. In fact, Kyle said a moment ago, right here going into turn 1, we're about wrecking. We're so loose.
Yeah, there's a lot of content as well. Like,
right, he runs everybody like a fool. So welcome to the club. Yeah, he'll be all right. He has to run up.
it's still chesty.
So apparently, maybe Kyle Busch would take advantage of the 48 a little bit. And he's like, hey, that's just how it is.
I want to hear your translation. Apparently. Oh, we have a car slow in the middle of 3 and 4. The 71 looks like another right front tire blast.
This time Zane Smith, yes, part of the right front tire coming off there as he got onto pit road. The right front down for the 71 of Zane Smith.
So now remember, we talked earlier about pace. They're faster. They're running low 24-second laps in the sunshine. 24.1, 0.2-second laps. Now the leader's 23.9-second laps, even faster. We see a 23.90 on second. Shade starting to be in the middle of 3 and 4. I know 1 and 2's in the sun, but keep this in mind. Teams are either A, taking a layer of pressure out to make the cars drive better. Pace is picking up. This is going to be like crossroads in the next 100, 150 laps. Which team gambles too much? Which team maybe plays the safer hand and lets the race come to them?
Blaney with a 1.4-second advantage of William Byron. Chase Elliott has moved up to the 3rd position, and surprisingly, way down the field, all the way in 29th, is Denny Hamlin. Hey,
he's only 2 seconds ahead of Blaney on the top of your screen there, so he's ready to go down another lap. It's News Race Radio.
Trying everything clear. Yeah. We're going to hear
can't get it to turn. Earlier, the team told me that the car felt to Denny like it was out of the track.
Funny. First couldn't stand anymore. Way too free and injuries. Track car distance to Kyle was too tight on F. And Steve, I think this is going to open the floodgate. 75 to go here in the stage.
Yeah, we'll have to see. You know, the problem is, well, you know, I think tires are a bit of an advantage for handling. I'm not sure new tires are a whole lot faster than what they're currently on. We'll see if the teams react. I mean, I happen to be able to go at least another 20 laps. We'll see if the crew chiefs counter. I'm not sure the 8's going to worry between the other crew chiefs here in the front.
Well, the other issue is hitting early. We've already seen 2 tire failures. So why is there going to be a 3rd or a 4th? We haven't called caution yet. But if someone blows the tire and gets into the corner, they hit the wall, the caution comes out. Now you've pitted too early. You're multiple laps down.
We would work good together.
The world thinks there are only 2 types of people. The French fryer.
Side-by-side commercial break for NASCAR Nonstop ad on the USA Network. We'll go back through the full field running order here as we've had a couple drivers pit under green, both voluntarily and involuntarily, as we continue to stay green at this point. A 1-second lead for Ryan Blaney over William Byron right now. Chase Elliott's moved up to 3rd place, race high for him. Joey Logano 4th and Ross Chastain up to a race high 5th place position. Josh Berry is 6th. Kyle Larson's moved up to 7th. Christopher Bell 8th. Alex Bowman 9th. And Daniel Suarez rounds out the top 10. Bubba Wallace in 11th. Ty Gibbs 12th. Brad Keselowski 13th. Chase Briscoe 14th. Carson Hocevar 15th. 16th is Tyler Reddick. Corey LaJoie 17th. Austin Dillon 18th. 19th for Justin Haley. Martin Truex Jr. 20th. Noah Gragson 21st. Todd Gilliland 22nd. John Nemechek 23rd. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 24th. Chris Buescher 25th. Ryan Preece 26th. Austin Cindric 27th. Denny Hamlin 28th. Harrison Burton 29th. And Eric Jones is 30th. Jones is the last car in the lead lap, so Kaz Grala in 31st is the first car 1 lap down. Daniel Hemrick is 32nd. 33rd for Kyle Busch, who already pitted. Michael McDowell has also pitted. He's 2 laps down at 34th. Shane Smith 3 laps down at 35th. Both of those two had right front tire failures during this green flag run, but no caution. AJ Allmendinger out of the race, crashed because of a right front tire failure back at stage 1. So he'll end up finishing last today. Ryan Blaney's led the most laps, and he was the stage 1 winner. 82 laps led for Blaney. And far today, 4 laps led for Daniel Suarez during caution flag instance back at stage 1. Those 3 different drivers who have led so far today have equated for 7 lead changes, and again, 4 cautions, 3 for incident, 1 of those in stage 2. Our average race speed to this point is 99.37 miles per hour, and we're about an hour and 15 minutes from the drop of the green flag to where we are right now. 142 laps complete, 208 laps still to go as we're in the middle of stage 2 today at the Iowa Speedway. 136 likes on the stream, so be sure to hit the like button. Our goal was 150 coming in. Let's see if we can break the record for the most likes in a stream this season. Looking to get to 208 before the end of this one. We have a lot of people watching. We have well more than that many people that voted in the chat poll. I think we might have a new poll record for the most votes in our chat poll for who you think will win all season. 302 votes have been casted so far. 47%. 8% of you saying somebody other than Larson, Elliott, or Hamlin will win. Hamlin's just been way off today. He only gets 8% of the votes, so I could see that. Chase Elliott at 17% of the votes is in the top 5 as well, so he is also looking strong. That'll take us to our next ad break. You're listening live on KRC to the Iowa Corn 350 for the NASCAR Cup Series at the Iowa Speedway. So again, Blaney got his second stage win of the season during the stage break a little bit earlier. A quick spotlight on those spotlight drivers from the pre-race predictions, how they're running here in the middle going of the race. Denny Hamlin is back at 27 still and has just gone a lap down. He was one of the must-have picks coming into the day just because of how strong he's been at short tracks this year. 4 wins on short tracks, 1 mile less in length if you include the Clash. So who would have thought Hamlin would be struggling the way he is here today? I certainly didn't. Kyle Larson, who was my pick to win, is up to 6th place, just moved up another spot. Chastain's dropped a couple since the commercial break. So Larson up to 6, he's in the top 10. Chase Elliott was the other must-have pick. He has now moved to 2nd, just past Byron during the commercial break. As far as so those are the must-haves, the sleeper picks. Got a couple of them in the top 10 right now. Josh Berry in the 5th place position. Justin Haley got the 10th early on. He is now back in 20th. So mid-pack, still on the lead lap though for Haley. Chase Briscoe is in 15th, who also was in the top 10 early on, is slid back in the middle going into the race, but still a long ways to go there. 3 picks that I had to finish all outside the top 10 today are so far all outside the top 10. Actually, 2 of the 3 are outside the top 10. Ross Chastain is up in 8th. Bubba Wallace now just made a pass for 10th, so now he's in the top 10 as he just got by Ty Gibbs. And then Kyle Busch, who pitted earlier, was in the top 10, obviously being on pit road when he did. He is in 33rd, waiting for the rest of the field to cycle through. Good battles on the racetrack still going on right now. Blaney's lead, 1.6 seconds over Chase Elliott. That last lap, Blaney was still he wasn't the quickest car on the track, but he was the quickest in the top 4. Larson, who has just moved to 5th, actually had the fastest lap of anybody that last lap, 24.050. So Larson definitely has the speed. Fastest lap overall today is actually by Ryan Blaney. 23.512 was 3/1000ths of a second quicker than Kyle Larson's fastest lap to this point. That's an average lap speed of 133.974 miles per hour. It's very fast for a short track. Again, this is a 7/8 mile racetrack. That was lap 69 where Blaney ran his fastest lap, and lap 67 for Larson. So during the same green flag run late in stage 1 in the closing laps of that stage. Some of the drivers who have ran their fastest laps of the race as the nighttime sky starts to creep in. The track temps have been dropping here in stage 2, but include Chase Elliott at lap 120. Lap 123 for Ross Chastain. Christopher Bell, who is in a backup car, charger from the back of the field up to 6th now. His fastest lap was lap 129. Keselowski ran his fastest lap even deeper into this race, lap 144. It was about 10 laps ago. Carson Hocevar also ran his fastest lap of the race during this current green flag run. So this is definitely building towards the longest green flag run of the race so far. It's been over 50 laps. We have, again, had a couple tire failures during this green flag run, but we haven't seen a caution because they've been well out of the way and they were able to limp their way back to pit road. Contact on the racetrack between Daniel Suarez and Ty Gibbs a couple laps ago, trading paint on the backstretch after making contact with each other. Gibbs is charged up to 11th. He was around 20th on the restart, and Suarez about where he restarted, currently in 12th. He was just inside the top 10, and now slipped back a couple positions as Wallace and Gibbs have both gotten around him in recent laps. Keselowski now right there with him, and a big gap between Keselowski in 13th and Hocevar in 14th, about a 5-second difference there on track. Chase Elliott 2/10 quicker than Ryan Blaney the last lap, but Blaney is fighting through lap traffic. We're down to just 25 cars on the lead lap. It's the least amount of cars that have been on the lead lap so far in the race today, but again, not surprising considering this is the longest green flag run that we've had so far tonight. Hamlin is currently the first car one lap down and trying to keep up with the leaders as much as he can. So when the next car goes a lap down, he can then pass that driver and still be in the free pass position if we were to see a caution in the middle going here of stage 2. 140 laps total in this second stage, so we still got quite a ways to go yet in stage 2. Yeah, 50 plus laps to go yet in this stage. I had to get my phone on the charger, so it's sitting away from me at the time being. Gives me a chance to go through all these stats, though, in this race. Average race speed's now a little over 100 miles an hour for the first time today. Troy the Great, thanks for tuning in. Yep, happy Father's Day as well. Like to see Bowman show up today. Well, he's been consistent. I think we'll look back at the stat line here for the season. He's been consistent in getting good finishes. He's got 9 top 10s. It's second most in the series. Tied for the second most with Byron and Bell. And the only driver who has more top 10s than him is Tyler Reddick. 4 top 5s to show for, which is also fairly high. He's getting good finishes, but he's not leading laps because he's only got 6 laps led this season. But that's kind of been the case for Bowman really throughout his Cup career in general. Doesn't lead a lot of laps. And he doesn't score a lot of stage points because he doesn't particularly qualify well. He was on super speedways at least until this year. And even that he's not able to. Looks like there was a lot of contact between Austin Dillon and can't tell who that was on the racetrack there. Not that long ago, Dillon got up against the wall. I think it was off Corey LaJoie's front bumper, if I'm not mistaken. LaJoie's had a handful today, I will say. Austin Dillon lost a few spots after that. He's now back at 21st. Dillon started dead last today, so he's kind of slowly clawing his way forward. He's done a great job at least staying on the lead lap all afternoon. Yeah, no stage wins, by the way, for Bowman this year either, so 0 playoff points. If he is to make it into the playoffs, if he's going to want to make a deep run, he's got to start winning stages and winning races here at some point. At least help him out. Currently, he is in the top 10 and 8, though. Another side-by-side commercial break on the USA Network. Lap 163 of 187. We'll go through the top 10 in the running order more in depth here and see exactly what the intervals are between those drivers. Ryan Blaney is still in the lead, but Chase Elliott's closing in, showing the long run speed he had in practice. He's only 0.4 of a second behind Blaney now. Kyle Larson's up to third. He's 1.6 seconds off the lead. Christopher Bell, 3.7 seconds back in fourth. And Joey Logano, 6.1 seconds off the lead in fifth. Josh Berry in sixth place at 6.2 seconds off the lead. William Byron, seventh, 1.7 seconds off the lead. 10.1 seconds back. Make that 11.5 seconds back now is Ty Gibbs in 8th. Bubba Wallace in 9th, 12 seconds off the lead. 13.5 seconds off the lead is Brad Keselowski in 10. So that is the top 10 in the running order. And again, the intervals between them, 23 cars on the lead lap, about an hour and a half into this race. 142 likes on the stream. We're only 8 away from our goal for the stream, and from the new stream record, a little over 50 away. Ross Chastain has a flat right front tire. He is on pit road. No caution. So again, a flat right front tire for Ross Chastain. No yellow.
Chassis adjustment and rotation.
Corey LaJoie also in the pits.
To make his stuff. To move, they make a big chassis adjustment there. Fresh Goodyear tires. Sunoco fuel on the 19.
So more cars starting to cycle through green flag pit stops. Josh Berry on his way in from the top 10. He was just up in 5th place. And we are definitely starting to see some more top portion of the field drivers pitting here under green.
Juniors.
Turning speed in section 1 so that he can make an adjustment to make sure he's not speeding through that section again, because that is the worst thing you could do is get caught for speed and then come down pit road to serve the penalty and get caught speeding again.
Blaney's still up front, but now it's Chase Elliott that's putting the pressure on him.
Yeah, Elliott's really closed that gap. When he was in 3rd about probably 24 laps ago or so, 25 laps ago, he's about 1.6 seconds off the lead, so he's been just slowly chipping away at it. Larson up the racetrack. Does he have a problem, or did he just miss the corner? Looked like he just missed the corner. I don't think the tire is down. But after missing it, no, he does not come to pit road this time. Ryan Blaney will pit, though, before he loses the lead to Elliott. Elliott will take the lead with the 12 coming into the pits.
12 of Blaney's on pit road. It'd be interesting to see where the 12 cycles versus the 24. Oh, yeah, Jeff, the 5 just loose into the corner a little bit, and then a little help with the 11. Gave him a shot, and up the track he went. Kim.
Let's watch the stop of Ryan Blaney. Despite leading last, that handling not to his liking. Sin and tight on throttle as they take tires. And it's my air pressure adjustment, Marty.
Back-to-back leaders sitting on back-to-back laps. It's Ryan Blaney and then Chase Elliott, who's been fantastic on these long runs. It is so good. If I get a little bit of help at the beginning of the run, it would be wonderful. His teammate Alex Coleman also on pit road right now. Car hit the wall, Rick.
Yeah, the car into the wall. It looked like the 42.
Yeah, I think it was a 43. And there we go.
Eric Jones.
Trying to get near the pit lane. Does a nice job. Tire stays on. Everybody avoids him. A lot going on here.
This is why everybody's afraid to pit. You know,
Larson's on pit road.
It's just
Give Bowman in.
Jones, this team, when I talked to him this morning, did not think they had space as we watched Kyle Larson making his stop. Said just a little bit loose. Going to be more fresh Goodyear tires, and you see that chassis adjustment to help the position of that race car on Kyle Larson's machine.
Now Eric Jones gets to his pit stall, and they're going to change that right front tire if they get the jack underneath it. Kim.
And let's follow the stop of Joey Logano as they continue to have problems on that Eric Jones machine, trying to get the jack underneath the car. Finally are able to do it, get it lifted up so they can change tires. Joey Logano making his stop. Joey complaining to his team, telling loose in and off, but center is hurting me the most. It's the tight condition that we need to work on. Joey Logano taking tires, slight adjustment, and fuel.
Christopher Bell will now take over the race lead during the midst of green flag pit stops. Noah Gragson just made a stop, and John Hunter Nemechek is now currently in. Still have about a dozen cars or so that have to pit yet, hoping for a caution. They did see Eric Jones blow right front, but no yellow for that. He was able to get down out of the way in time. And the race for the eventual race lead, if everything cycles through, is between Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney still. They're side by side on the backstretch into turns 3 and 4. Elliott's car definitely getting better into the nighttime sky. Tyler Reddick is now on pit road. So Elliott was able to get by Blaney on the outside, and Kyle Larson closing in on both drivers here over the course of this run. Elliott's still working through some lap traffic. He's on the outside of the 10 of Noah Gragson, trying to get by him pretty quickly. So those Hendrick cars there, Elliott, Larson, my two favorites to go for the win here today, are getting better in the long run and into the nighttime sky. Elliott maybe the best of the bunch, although he got to the lead much sooner than the 5. We'll see if the 5 can keep up. Bell's in the pits. And Larson gets to the inside of Blaney, using Noah Gragson as a pick to try to get by him. Gragson up on that outside lane in front of the 12. 12 trying to go above him now. The 5 trying to get underneath him. More lap traffic around the 10. 34 even slower now is in the way of Larson on the bottom lane. Larson cuts to the inside. 3 wide as they split by the 34. Caution is out on the speedway. Caution is out somewhere on the racetrack. Keselowski leads, and this is going to trap a lot of those faster cars that already pitted a lap down. Now, looks like Blaney, Larson, Byron. Well, Byron didn't pit yet. Elliott, Larson, Blaney, they were all on the lead lap still. But Kyle Busch in 15th on back was a lap down at the time of the caution. Busch should get the free pass. But then everybody else is going to have to take the wave around. If possible, Daniel Hemrick is the cause of the yellow.
Kyle Busch scored a lap down, the highest car scored a lap, like 15th. We'll see if it's one of the 53 points. Yes, the right side, 31.
Here they got into the wall in turn 2.
I don't know. This one baffles me a little bit. These are the ones that used to make me scratch my head. We've seen some tires go down. Cars were able to get to pit road. We haven't seen a replay of what happened to the 31. We see the contact on the right side. Let's see what we see here.
He's already up the racetrack, out of the groove. Makes contact.
Bounces off and keeps going.
Yeah, look, they've not thrown the caution for that through this entire cycle, but for some reason they did on that one.
Kyle Busch, Bell, Logano, Bowman, Briscoe, Gibbs, Chastain, all a lap down. Reddick, LaJoy, Dillon. They're going to be frustrated by this caution.
I believe Busch is going to get the free pass.
We'll also have to see who will be able to get the wave around. It's going to take a little bit. We know that the 6 is leading, but really what matters is Byron's probably not going to pit for 8th. So we really need to see what lap down cars are in front of William Byron. They will probably have the opportunity for the wave around. William Byron is about halfway back in the pack, so I think we're going to get a bunch of cars waving around here. It's going to have to cycle. First, we're going to see pit stops, though, for the cars who get to pit.
Top 7 will probably be coming down pit road here. We're right along on that Xfinity Mobile on board with Bubba Wallace. Dave.
Rick Keselowski found some speed in the top group, but he said, I still need some front grip for the long run. The free in that I was experiencing is tolerable. So Matt McCall and the crew will go to work on that. As for Bubba Wallace, top your screen in the Grimace car, the 23 was moving forward, but very loose condition. He said, fix that right here, and he pointed at the track where he was, and I'm good.
LaJoy might be the benefactor here, potentially, of that
I think LaJoy and everybody in front of him, LaJoy, Reddick, Chastain, Gibbs, Briscoe, all are going to have the chance to wave around.
And Kim has the front row seats of everything going on with the 17 as they're parting with the 20.
All right, so we'll wait for this leaderboard to update here as we have the top portion of cars who didn't pit before the caution in the middle of green flag pit stops pitting now during the yellow, and everybody else who already made their stop who was on the lead lap still tail end of it will now cycle back to the lead on slightly older tires. So it's definitely going to shake the strategy up a little bit more, and a lot of other drivers having to take the wave route. A lot of drivers that were up inside the top 5 for a large portion of this run at some point in time, or top 10 at least, we're a lap down now. They're going to be well outside the top 10 after getting the wave around. They're going to be on older tires, and they're going to be behind the cars on fresh tires. So drivers would include Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, Christopher Bell, Alex Bowman, Ty Gibbs, Chase Briscoe, Tyler Reddick, all those guys that were in the top dozen through most of this race. Now they're all going to be about 15th on back. And again, on older tires, taking the wave around compared to those in front of them. Not all the cars in front of him, because the very top portion of the field looks like the top 6 through Barry, I believe, are all cars that pitted before the yellow and were still on the lead lap. So those drivers will cycle to the lead. Then everybody else in the back half of the top 10, just outside the top 10, they're all going to be on fresher tires than the leaders. So might have a little bit better takeoff. We'll have to wait and see. We're pretty late in stage 2. We got less than 30 to go in the stage. So it is getting down to the wire here slowly but surely at the Iowa Speedway. Forget that voting poll will close at the end of stage 2. Still 46% of you of the 318 votes taking Kyle Larson for the win.
Cup Series race from Iowa Speedway. It's the Iowa Ford 350 powered by ethanol. Well, at the track, Iowa corn growers are highlighting the interactive Iowa Corn Mobile Education Trailers. The 40-foot state-of-the-art mobile unit takes visitors on a multimedia journey showing how Iowa corn farmers conserve their land while growing corn that is used for food, feed, and the 4,000 other products made from, you guessed it, corn. Iowa corn growers are committed to unlock the potential of Ford in a sustainable manner. Marty.
Rick, let's chat with Mike Hicks, some of the fastest hands in the garage area, also the rear tire changer for Christopher Bell. You guys have a unique pit stall here, Mike, the #1 pit stall on pit road. How does that make it difficult, especially for you, the rear changer?
Yeah, I mean, when you have this first stall here, especially in a track like today where we're having tire issues, you just you got to be ready all the time. You know, you got to make sure you got all your stuff prepped and ready, because if you blow a tire going into 3, they're going to be on you really fast.
There you go, Mike Hicks. We're going to let him run. By the way, that caution did not come out at a good time for the 20 team. They ran long. They paid the price when the caution came out, and Adam Stevens was very upset.
That was the most ridiculous bullshit I've ever seen in my life. You had 17 guys blow tires, and you have one guy blow another tire, and you're further caution. That's ridiculous. I understand the frustration. I would see it the same way if it definitely, hurt my car, and I don't completely disagree. I think there were other opportunities to throw a yellow. We saw flat tires. The only difference is that car made contact with the wall, so in the instantaneous decision, maybe they thought he needed assistance, but hindsight being 2020, I have to agree with Adam Stevens. I don't think that deserved a yellow any more than the flat tires that we've seen.
47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. stayed out.
Yeah, definitely an interesting call from NASCAR as far as why the caution was thrown there compared to the other instances with the flat tires earlier in the stage. But nonetheless, we're back to racing. 22 to go in stage 2. Stenhouse stayed out of the pits there entirely on the restart, along with a lot of the other drivers at the front of the field, side by side for the lead between Stenhouse and Byron. Larson right in line behind both cars at 24, goes wide into turn 3, makes contact with the 47, still 3 wide and tight off the exit of the corner. Larson gets to the lead, 4 wide now, headed down towards turn 1. Blaney in the middle of it, trying to get through Stenhouse. He's got a car underneath him, not giving him a lot of room. Somehow they all funneled out without an incident there. Byron lost a lot of ground after making contact with Stenhouse, more than what Ricky Stenhouse did. Stenhouse still holding on for now. Byron fell outside the top 10 to 11th. Both the 47 and the 24 were the two leaders on the restart. Larson and Josh Berry now battle for the lead. Larson has had struggles firing off the first 5 to 10 laps of a green flag run. Top Blaney was able to get in front of him a couple times, including late in stage 1 to win the opening stage. Larson, who leads now in stage 2, trying to keep the 4 behind him. And we'll see as we get deeper into this green flag run, Berry can't get by the 5. It's just going to be harder and harder and harder. So far right now, Kyle Larson doing a good job just trying to stay in front of the 4, really trying to take his line away as much as possible. Primarily in the upper groove more so than the bottom. He'll give Berry the bottom, at least until he gets ridiculously close to him, which he is getting there, but not within striking distance to make a move to the inside or outside in a similar corner quite yet. Berry within about a car length to a car length and a half. He runs the bottom through 3 and 4 down on the white line. Larson towards the outer groove of the fresh asphalt in the middle of 3 and 4. He gets a much better drive off, expands his lead down the front stretch into turns 1 and 2. Now Larson goes to the bottom of the track. Berry goes to the middle upper groove, and Berry's going to try to get that ground back now on the back straightaway. Hamlin and Stenhouse side by side for position. That caution was huge for Denny Hamlin, by the way. He was struggling to stay on the lead lap all day, and he had stayed out of the pits all the way through that green flag run. He was actually a lap down before the leaders pitted, got his lap back with the leaders pitting, and when Keselowski was leading, he wasn't a lap down. Caution comes out before he has to pit, and now, all of a sudden, Denny Hamlin's up in 7th place, the highest he's been in the running order today. Just as they drew it up. No, I doubt that that's their what they thought was going to happen to them in this race today, but definitely got their prayer answered middle of the going, and they still have time to try to figure out their car to get it right for the very finish, as the track will continue to go through changes into the night as the rubber continues to build, as we still have a little under half of this race remaining. We'll have another 140 laps stage 2. Same length for stages 2 and 3 today, and then again that first stage was 70 laps. Tyler Reddick, one of those drivers that was trapped a lap down and couldn't even get the wave around with the caution. Same for Ross Chastain, who was in the top 10 before the pit stop started under green flag conditions. Showing the contact between Byron and Stenhouse on replay again. Byron just got loose, overdrove at center of the corner, slid up, made contact with Stenhouse. Both cars go wide. We've seen that all weekend. Saw it a lot in the Xfinity race yesterday. Josh Berry getting sandwiched between the 47 and the 9 as he worked his way up off the exit of turn 4. Everybody fighting for the same spot as soon as they saw those two front runners go up the hill. Restarts are the biggest time to make the most amount of passes at once as possible. Larson's extended his lead over Berry to about a second, and in fact, Chase Elliott moves to the inside of Berry for that second place position. Down the back straightaway into turns 3 and 4. 11 to go, stage 2 this time by. So Larson, who was second at the end of stage 1, trying to win this stage, pick up his 8th stage win of the year. He has the most of anybody in the series. And with the laps led today for Kyle Larson, he's now led over 700 laps so far this season. Berry has held on for second. I thought Elliott was going to have a good chance to get around him that last lap. Couldn't do it. In fact, has to slide in line behind him in the middle of 3 and 4. This battle's heating up so much that Ryan Blaney's starting to close in on both of these two. Bubba Wallace, who initially got the 3rd on the restart, Elliott got by him. Blaney got around in recent laps, and now Bubba back to 5th, but still having a solid run in the top 5. He got into the top 10 right before the green flag pit stop started. Was right around 9th, 10th place. So he's getting quicker as the night builds on as well. Byron back to 12th on the restart, by the way. Stenhouse 11th. They're both of them on the front row. Justin Haley back into the top 10. He was one of the drivers who stayed out of the pits to gain track position. Same for Todd Gilliland in 8th. And Chris Buescher has been nowhere to be found all day today. Much like his teammate Keselowski stayed out trying to get that caution. In the middle of the green flag run, they got it. both the RFK Fords are in the top 10 at the same time for the first time tonight. Kyle Busch, who got the free pass, is driven up to 13th on the restart. Now, because he got the free pass, he was able to take tires and not lose track position, where the wave around cars couldn't take tires or they wouldn't have been able to take the wave around. So Busch is starting to get some of those positions back right now. Slowly but surely. So the battle for 19th place would be the battle for the free pass position to the end of the stage. Elliott back to the inside of Berry again through 3 and 4 on lap 204, coming to 205. Elliott stays underneath them through 1 and 2. He knows he's quicker than Berry. It's just so hard for him to complete this pass right now. That rubber going into that outside lane is making it much harder to make passes as the night carries on. Drivers being more aggressive with slightly more grip in the corners as the shade begins to build on the racetrack as well. More shade in 3 and 4 than in turns 1 and 2. 1 and 2 still going to be a bit slick as it has way more sun. 3 and 4, where the grandstands start to fade over from the exit of turn 4, have shaded most of turns 3 and 4 entirely now. So again, the track continuously going through changes. We'll have our diecast showing at the end of stage 2 here. Actually be the last of the 124 scale diecast from the collection that you see behind me. Started showing off the 164 scale diecast with the live commentary streams earlier in the weekend. So we'll have those going forward following this weekend's Iowa Cup race. Elliott still has not gotten by Berry. Again, 2 times he's been able to get underneath him, stay there for a couple laps, and then as he fails to make the pass, has to go back up in line behind him. It takes him a lap or 2 to try to mount a charge to get back to the inside again. Berry will continuously give him that bottom. He's not going to give him that middle to upper groove. And Elliott's not going to be too aggressive with it, with this being for a stage and not for the end of the race. Stenhouse got out of shape, I think, off of 4, loses a few more positions. Actually, he's only lost a couple positions. He's getting mauled by cars on fresh tires who are a lap down right now. So Ricky still remains in 13th. Chastain holds on to the free pass position ahead of Ryan Preece, Harrison Burton, and Austin Cindric right now as Kyle Larson works himself into 3 and 4 on the last lap of stage 2. Larson will win the second stage by about 1.7 seconds. First stage win of the night for Larson. Blaney has led the most laps so far, but Larson wins stage 2. Blaney again was the stage 1 winner. Larson first and second in the stages, scores more stage points tonight than any other driver, 19. And he came in as the regular season points leader, so he's only going to expand that lead, but not by much over Chase Elliott, who has also been in the top 5 for most of the night. So Larson wins stage 2, Josh Berry second, Chase Elliott third, Ryan Blaney fourth, Bubba Wallace fifth. Denny Hamlin 6th, Chris Buescher 7th, Todd Gilliland with a great run in 8th. Brad Keselowski 9th, and another sleeper pick there in the top 10 of Justin Haley. Rick Ware Racing rounding out the top 10, trying to go for 3 in a 5-race stretch. Free pass will go to Ross Chastain with the stage yellow. It's our 6th caution of the night. We've had 2 for incident in stage 1, 2 for incident in stage 2, 2 stage breaks so far today, making up the 6 yellows. 113 laps led for Ryan Blaney, most in the race. Larson from the pole has now led 78 laps and counting. He's led the most times, 5. Blaney 3. Anybody else who's led has only led 1 time today. Chase Elliott led for 1 lap on a restart. Brad Keselowski had led for 5 laps during the caution period there, and the green flag laps before the caution came out in the middle of green flag stops the last time. Stenhouse led for 4 during the most recent yellow. Suarez led for 4 during the yellow in stage 1. Christopher Bell during that sequence of green flag pit stops led 7 laps. So we've had 7 different drivers lead at least 1 lap in the race today. And we've had 12 lead changes amongst those 7 different leaders as well. So final stage is upon us. We'll get the diecast showing out of the way then right now. And again, it's the last 124 scale diecast I haven't shown yet this year. I think you, the fans, are going to say it's probably one of your favorites. Definitely a memorable paint scheme to say the least. It's from the 2001 Pepsi 400 at Daytona. Synonymous with Dale Earnhardt Jr. winning the first race back at the Daytona International Speedway after the passing of his father, Dale Sr., back in the 2001 Daytona 500 earlier that February. This is the All-Star Game diecast. They were in Seattle, that All-Star Game in 2001. You can see the pinstripe, or not the pinstripes, but the striping of the seams. There we go. That's what I was trying to think of. The seams of the baseball kind of making up the trim of the race car all the way around, front bumper, back bumper, side skirts of the car. But Dale Jr. ran some All-Star race paint schemes at Daytona on that 4th of July weekend race for the next several years, even after the fact. And we still, from time to time, see All-Star race schemes to this day. NASCAR on Fox, of course. At this time, you can see the Fox with the MLB All-Star Game. MLB All-Star Game still on Fox, but NASCAR not on Fox for the rest of the year. Again, they'll be on the USA Network, NBC networks for the rest of the season. But this is the diecast showing for today. But I know there's probably a lot of Junior fans watching. Of course, Junior Nation still lives on strong today. Still runs some Xfinity races every year. And I think he'll be back at Bristol this year. Will be his next Xfinity race. So I hope to go see that one in person again, like I did last year. That was pretty fun. Never really grew up as like Dale Jr. being my favorite driver. Growing up as a kid, I was always a Roush Fenway fan, like the Roush guys a lot. But yeah, getting to witness that in person. Well, although I saw him race in person a couple of times, not, in his DEI days, for instance. So it was cool most of Bristol Motor Speedway that night being a Dale Jr. fan, myself included that night. Got pit stops here.
Screen there, and it's interesting. He said it seems because it goes down, my early run issues seem to go away. Remember, they're so good at the end of runs. Everyone Gustafson planning for changes here in the 9, Kim.
Solid day for Josh Berry in the middle of your screen. He said it felt okay. I need to turn better, though. Entry a little bit edgy. He does think he takes off better than those around them. 4 fresh Goodyear tires, Snowco fuel. As we watch the edge of Larson stop there on the bottom. Kyle telling his crew, I'm a little too free. I can't lean on the right rear. I think the track's going to get freer, though. Cliff Daniels telling him to work on what they think he needs for this final stage as he loses 1 position on pit lane.
Yeah, two-tire stop for Keselowski. Gains him 8 spots. Suarez 9 spots with a 2-tire stop. And what a behind-the-scenes crew we have had here. We want to thank the 20 and the 17s for their access. And we'll see how Corey LaJoie and Christopher Bell do in the final stage.
Nathan Powers, Hercules Harrigan, Catch a Will DVD, Hunter and Sports Fan. Thanks for tuning in also. Terry Graham, iRacing 413, Earl Arnold Jr., many others who have tuned into the stream there during stage 2. I didn't get to shout out yet in the chat. Appreciate all of you tuning in here tonight. I believe we set a new poll record for the most votes in a poll in a single stream this season. I know the Kansas one was up for a while because we streamed for like 7 hours that day because we had about a 3.5 hour rain delay. We streamed all the way through, 4 hour rain delay, however long it was. We streamed all the way through, so we might have had more polls, votes in that poll. I can't go back and look at that. I would have had to write it down, and I didn't. So it may be a new poll record, may not, but 334 of you voted in the poll. The only sad part with that is we only have about half as many likes in the stream. 153 likes, but we had 334 votes in the voting poll in the chat. So if you are watching, be sure to hit that like button. We've hit our like goal tonight of 150, and the stage 3 is just starting now, so that's awesome. But let's see if we can get to that goal of, or new poll, well, not new poll record, new like record, which is to try to get to 208. 208 on the likes would be the most we've had in a stream this season. I think all time we got to get up in like the 270, so that's going to be tough tonight. But you never know. You never know. Be sure to hit that like button. It goes a long way with helping the channel out at time. Dale Opplinger, thanks for tuning in as well. But yeah, 334 votes. 46% of those 334 votes went to Kyle Larson. He was my pick to win. He was a stage 2 winner, and he's your pick to win. 28% said somebody other than Larson, Elliott, or Hamlin. Elliott's looking strong. 3rd at the end of stage 2 here. Ran 2nd for a little bit of time before the last caution for incident in the 2nd stage. He gets 17% of the votes, 8% going to Denny Hamlin, who finished top 10 in stage 2 after finishing a lap down in stage 1. Couple cars staying out of the pits there with some alternating strategies. Chris Buescher, Todd Gilliland, Brad Keselowski. All going to be at the front of the field ahead of Larson, Berry, and Elliott. For this next race start, they'll be 4th, 5th, 6th. Daniel Suarez 7th, Bubba Wallace 8th. Denny Hamlin 9th, Ryan Blaney 10th. So that will be the top 10 on the upcoming restart. About 2 hours into this race today. And we've definitely still got a lot of racing to go. In this final stage, 140 laps.
Team, how about that?
It was fun to be up here in the 20 box as well. That full stage got to the lead. Caution.
Cool. Not expecting the bumper to go on there. I'll let you listen into the broadcast for the restart here at stage 3. I feel like this seems to only happen when I go to actually put the audio on for you guys.
Came out at a bad time. They finally finished.
Jump to live real quick here.
Run speed is hard to walk away from as well. They're terrific.
And they have good speed. Love those inside looks. We're going to do that all year long, hopefully with one team every week, maybe 2.
Try to get through the field. As now we have Buescher, Keselowski, RFK, leading the field back to the green flag. Final stage underway, 132 laps to go in this race.
Big wiggle out of the 17. He collected it 3 wide behind him.
Comes Josh Berry on the inside in the 4. Keselowski's dropped all the way back. Big contact.
Oh!
Got collected with the 11, and the caution comes back. Aggressive racing there coming off of 4.
Larson is done.
And Larson was in the middle of 3 wide. As he spins it around, see if he can get back. Suarez hit him on the right rear.
Well, like the 99, yeah, 99 car right there gets up the racetrack, gets into the left field of 5, and then he's just out of control along for the ride. Denny Hamlin, wrong place. See the 9, you saw it wiggle? He got loose. And when he got loose, he had to turn to the car to the right to keep from spinning out. That's where the contact came right along with 20 of Bell. Oh.
Bell got into the back of the 22.
That's how quick it happens. Bell couldn't even see the incident.
All right,
Yeah.
Kim.
Well, before the incident, Kyle did say the car was trending loose. Kyle, though, coming on the radio, telling Cliff Daniels, the crew chief, that it is not driving straight, so they will have to look at the suspension of that machine.
Let's listen in on the 99 radio.
When you force the middle like that you conflict sometimes. Yeah, all good. Don't worry about it.
Not running straight there for Larson, as we'll take a look at that.
Well, this race is wide open now.
Looking at the toe length, Steve.
Yeah, looking at the rear. Probably take a look at the front for the hood flap. He's peeling up the hood flap. You can kind of take a look at that right front toe link, upper suspension.
3 wide racing. The 99 of Suarez gets into the back of the 5. He goes into the 11 into the wall. and brings out caution number 7 here at Iowa.
Well, caution is out again for the 7th time. First caution of stage 3, early going to stage 3, just got that restart in, and Kyle Larson, who just won stage 2 moments ago, is now, well, not going to be out of the race entirely. Could be out of the race entirely, but definitely not going to be on the lead lap anymore, and he'll be out of contention and a chance for the race win here today. Chris Buescher is currently the race leader. At the time of the caution here, lap 222. Josh Berry is second, Todd Gilliland third, Brad Keselowski fourth, Daniel Suarez fifth, Bubba Wallace sixth, Chase Elliott seventh, Ryan Blaney eighth, Kyle Busch ninth, William Byron 10th. 11th for Alex Bowman, Justin Haley 12th, Joey Logano 13th, Denny Hamlin 14th, Christopher Bell 15th, 16th for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Carson Hocevar 17th, Ross Chastain 18th, Kyle Larson 19th, and Michael McDowell first car lap down in 20th. Free pass ended up going to McDowell during this caution, so he'll be back on the lead lap before the restart. Ryan Preece is 21st, John Hunter Nemechek 22nd, Austin Cindric 23rd, Noah Gragson 24th, Chase Briscoe 25th, Tyler Reddick 26th, Austin Dillon 27th, Ty Gibbs 28th, Martin Truex Jr. 29th, Corey LaJoie 30th. 31st for Harrison Burton, Daniel Hemrick 32nd, Zane Smith 33rd, Kaz Grala 34th, Eric Jones 35th, AJ Allmendinger 36th.
He's like, just good hard racing, but Larson indeed being aggressive put himself in a tough situation.
Not that he made a wrong call or a wrong move. That's just hard racing. But Suarez is like, hey, there's more to this picture than just what you see off turn 4.
It might have worked out if Suarez doesn't get loose and has to chase the car up the racetrack.
Of course. Levin's good fortune of getting his track position went away now with damage.
Kim, what are they looking at on the 5?
Well, Kyle radioed in and said the back end feels wobbly, and Cliff Crew Chief said that's because it is. They think the toe link is bent. They don't think it's broken. They just think it is bent. So working on alleviating the issue for Kyle Larson, Dave.
Jim Denny Hamlin, after all that contact is coming down pit road. They came down one time before. They judged that the right rear toe link was okay, but the right front is bent, just like you talked about. And so they told Denny, we can't fix that. You're going to have to adjust your steering. Guys, what is that like, and what's the driver going to experience with a bent right front toe link?
Well, it's definitely not going to drive as well. And these cars are, they spend hours lining these cars up, making sure everything is exactly where you want it to be. And then you go out here and you bang wheels and it's damaged. So it's certainly going to hurt the performance. But with the 5 cars' misfortune, that's opportunity for the rest of the field, because I believe the 5 had the car to beat. Now, there was a lot of racing still to happen, a lot of opportunity, but now you have Buescher, who stayed out on older tires, Berry, who's now the highest car on fresh tires, Gilliland, Keselowski, Suarez, Wallace, Elliott, Blaney. I mean, there's a lot more up in the air than there was a minute ago, because I thought the 5 had a very good chance of contending for this win.
Denny Hamlin coming off of pit road. Kim.
Well, Powerball is back as the official lottery game of NASCAR, and it wants to send you to NASCAR Championship Weekend for the chance to win $1 million. Now, the Iowa Lottery is hosting hundreds of Powerball players at this weekend's races, and even gave players the chance to win a ride in the pace car and meet some of the sport's top drivers in the VIP suite. Now, if you want to experience the thrill of NASCAR, check your local lottery and get entered into the NASCAR Powerball Playoff. Powerball, the official lottery game of NASCAR.
Okay, we did go through the process of being able to have a chance of being in the pace car because Jeff took us around the racetrack. But what an opportunity for fans to be able to do that, to experience a pace car ride at any of these tracks.
It's a great opportunity. I hope they last longer than you did, Rick.
I'll tell you,
One
Jeff,
lap.
you know you're retired, Jeff, right? You know you're retired. You don't have to try to set track record times every time you get into a pace car.
I was going 73.
Issues as far as working on the five, there's too many men over the wall, so that just means they're coming back on the pit road, serve that penalty. But there's so much that needs to be done, trying to get it to run straight again.
Well, yeah, they're going to actually hold them for a couple laps because when you have too many men over pit wall while on the damaged vehicle policy, it's actually a couple lap penalty. By looking at the 5 car, he was going to have some issues anyway, but it is a 2-lap penalty.
And the problems actually continue for Larson. We talked about the bent toe link, and he said his wheel's in an okay spot, but then when he went back on the racetrack, he said, it feels like I'm going to spin out. He thinks he maybe broke a brake line. He even said, I might not be able to stop it in the box. Obviously, he was able to stop it in the box, but brake line issue for Kyle Larson possibly as well.
I want to just take that one to the truck. Yeah.
All right, well, here we go. 123 laps left. We'll see if we get more than a few laps into this restart. Green flag back in the air. Whoever's on the outside row 4, it looked like Chase Elliott spun his tires on the restart, lost a lot of ground. Position-wise, he doesn't really change much. Josh Berry getting extra aggressive on his restart inside of Chris Buescher, nearly making contact all the way through the corner, running the 17 a bit tight in that outer groove. Berry going to slide up clear off the exit of turn 4 now. Buescher looking for the crossover underneath him, gets into the back of him. Both cars sideways up turn 4, now drag race for turn 1. Berry Buescher door to door again. Buescher going to slide up and try to knock Berry up out of the line. Clear, clean pass that time though for Buescher. And Berry rides in second place just behind him. Corey LaJoie, tail end of the pack, might have got up against the wall in turns 1 and 2. Could have had some contact. Berry into the back of the 17 again. Buescher holds on. For the moment, Berry again looking for the lead. Penalty, by the way, during the set of pit stops for Hamlin. Too fast exiting pit road, but he was involved in that incident and is at the tail end of the lead lap anyway. Elliott Byron side by side for 6th. Kyle Busch back inside the top 5 as he's looking for 3rd on Todd Gilliland. Busch, the highest running Chevy. Highest Toyota in the running order is Bubba Wallace in 11th. Only 3 Toyotas on the lead lap. Wallace, Bell, and then Hamlin, who just got in that last incident. Berry's been hanging on that left rear corner panel of Chris Buescher this entire restart. Over 150 miles an hour into turn 1, Berry will slide up clear. The 4 and the 17 continue to cross each other over. This time Berry clear. And Gilliland holds on for 3rd for the time being on Busch. Busch was not able to get around him despite getting alongside of him a couple laps ago. So Ford's in the top 3 positions in the running order, all for 3 different organizations. An SHR Ford, an RFK Ford, and a Front Row Racing Ford. And another RFK Ford to 4th as Busch actually lost a couple more spots after failing to pass the 38 of Gilliland. Both the 6 and the 24 get around him. Elliott looking to the inside of Busch now in the middle of 1 and 2. No clean air for the 8 with the side-by-side running in front of him of the 6 and the 24 as they might have split around him 3 wide. A couple laps ago when making their pass, Gilliland holding this group of cars up, it looks like, as the top 2 continue to get away, despite how aggressive they've been battling with each other nearly every lap of the restart. Big gap starting to build, though, between Berry and Buescher once Berry finally got around the 17 for the lead. Buescher had really not been in the top 10 all day today up until the pit stop sequence during stage 2 when the caution came out in the middle of green flag stops, and he had stayed out of the pits. Before that, he had been running about 15th on back through most of this race today, so he doesn't quite have the speed that, say, Berry does or Byron does that have been running in the top 10 this whole race, as Berry and Byron run 1st and 3rd. Gilliland starting to slip back now. Not only Byron got around him, but so did Keselowski. Elliott still holding up Kyle Busch, though, in that outside lane behind him. Busch continues to get picked by the 38. Needs to drop in line underneath. Instead, he's going to try to go above him. No room to go there. He's still going to be boxed in. Blaney gets by the 38 and the 8 the last lap, and now Suarez to the inside of Busch.
You mentioned Corey LaJoy was outpaced just a bit. This was his first issue. And another time when he tagged the wall there.
That's pretty good contact. Here he comes.
Byron in front of Busher. William Byron. We'll see if he can reel in Josh Berry. It's 2 seconds now, the gap between first and second.
Look at the gaggle of cars on the bottom of the screen. There's been more three-wide racing here than any short track I have seen. Yeah, ever.
How about Alex Bowman? Steve, you made a prediction earlier. You thought Alex Bowman would be running well here. He's inside the top 10.
Yeah, looks like there might be a little damage on the hood man bar.
Mitch Gaggle. Bubba Wallace to the middle of it now. He's been blocked. Ross Chastain went down in front of him. Good on board giving us a shot from Christopher Bell. Bell currently running in the 16th spot. Everyone chasing Josh Berry here in Iowa.
Under 10 laps to go. NASCAR nonstop commercial break going on right now. Top 5 in the running order, and the intervals between them would include Josh Berry in the lead by 2.3 seconds over William Byron in second. Chris Buescher 3.1 seconds off the lead in third. Brad Keselowski fourth, and he is 3.9 seconds off the lead. Ryan Blaney is fifth, as he is 4.3 seconds off the lead. That's the running order with the top 5, the intervals between them, as we run through lap 240. Again, 110 laps to go at the Iowa Speedway and the Iowa Corn 350. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more NASCAR content if you haven't yet. We'll take another ad break. You're listening live on KRC. Chief Campbell, thanks for tuning in also. Jeff Burton becoming more and more a captain obvious. And man, you got to call it like you see it. He'll only do so much, with the commentary side of things, I guess. He's probably having to talk even more with Dale Jr. not in the booth either, so I'll give him a pass. It's Rick Allen, Steve Letarte, and Jeff Burton in the booth right now. Eric Jones goes way up the hill during this NASCAR nonstop action. We'll get updated with the pre-race predictions, where they are all running at this point in the race. The 3 must-haves, 2 of them outside the top 10, 1 is not. Both of them, by the way, that are outside the top 10 were involved in that last incident, being Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson. Larson is done for the day, and he will end up finishing 35th after the last incident. Hamlin is 1 lap down in 19th. He's definitely off the pace again following this incident after just getting back into the top 10 at the end of stage 2. He got some stage points there. Larson scored the most stage points of anybody today, winning stage 2, finishing second in stage 1. So he'll have a decent points day to help his regular season championship standings, but he was my pick to win. He was your guys' pick to win by way of the chat. 46% of 334 votes, almost half of the votes. About 150 voters took Kyle Larson for the win. And he's going to end up finishing 35th here tonight. The one must-have that is in the top 10, though, is Chase Elliott, who was my second kind of pick of the top 3 to win today's race, and he's in 4th. Again, 3.7 seconds off the lead. Sleeper pick's doing pretty good so far. Justin Haley in 9th. Called for him to get a top 10 here today. And he is looking good so far. Josh Berry was another one of those picks, and he is leading this race for the first time. Chase Briscoe is the other must-have pick. Sorry, not must-have pick, but sleeper pick. And he's a lap down in 26th. So he's definitely struggling compared to his teammate Berry, who is out in the lead. And Berry had been running top 10 through most of the night. He's had great runs on short tracks this season already, leading a bunch of laps at Bristol and Richmond. And now here today at Iowa, leading some laps. On actual pace, too, nonetheless, not just because of like green flag pit stops or any sort of pit strategy cycling. He's out there, he's racing and getting the job done. All the don't have picks right now, Kyle Busch is in 10th, so he's borderline top 10 right now. He's had good speed in the car in the short run. It seems like the long runs he's kind of lacking a little bit as he's fallen back to 10th. He originally got to 3rd on the restart. This one that we're on right now with the green flag run. The other don't have picks would include Bubba Wallace, who at times was in the top 5 today. Now he's back to 16th. And the other don't have pick would have been Ross Chastain, who actually had a flat right front tire in the middle of the green flag run, a couple runs back at stage 2 specifically. But he stayed on the lead lap once he was able to get the wave around during the caution during that set of green flag pit stops. And now he's raced his way all the way back up to 12th, and he was in the top 10 before that. So my non-top 10 picks here today have had about top 10 speed, at least at times, which usually isn't the case, but 2 of them are still outside the top 10 and 1 is in 10, so it's going to be close. And if we can go 3 for 3 on that again this weekend, and get my record on my going at picks this season, 27-4 through my 31 picks this year, so trying to keep that hot streak going, keep it alive. Billy Lovejoy Designs, thanks for tuning in. Return Trip, also welcome to the stream. Have been any tire issues there? Have been a few. AJ Allmendinger back at stage 1. Blew a right front tire. There's a few during that long green flag run at stage 2. The one that brought out the caution was Daniel Hemrick, teammate of Allmendinger. Hemrick is 2 laps down to 31st now, but still in this. Eric Jones had a flat right front during that run. He's 4 laps down. Michael McDowell actually had a flat right front, but he has come back to be on the lead lap at 18th. He was one of those wave around cars. And Ross Chastain also had a flat right front, but he is in 12th. No major damage on the cars that are still in the race that had the flat right fronts. As far as Hemrick and Jones being multiple laps down, they were already a lap down when their flat right fronts happened. They stayed green. They lost even more laps. Well, the Hemrick caution, actually, we did get a yellow, which is probably why he's only 2 laps down and Jones is 4, but still was a lap down at least at the time of that taking place. Jeff Briggs, also thanks for tuning in. Adrian Smith, thanks for tuning in also. I try to shout out as many people as I can. I see you in the chat. It gets hard when we get a bunch of people watching like tonight, but again, appreciate each and every single one of you that are tuned in here for this primetime NASCAR Sunday night. Iowa Speedway, first ever NASCAR Cup race at Iowa. 94 laps to go with where we are right now. Josh Berry, Ryan Blaney, 1-2. Blaney driven his way up to second. Now, Blaney's actually led the most laps today. Larson, by the eye test, has had the quicker car of anybody in the field today before his incident and his retirement from the race. Larson from the pole led the most times, and he led 80 laps, scored the most stage points. Came from deep in the field, was really able to pass cars quick. But Ryan Blaney qualified up towards the front. He's been in the top 5 pretty much all night. He gets shuffled out of line by way of losing pit stop positions and then losing spots on the restart when he's not on the front row. But now he's driving his way back up there, and he's really the only car, at least during this green flag run that's going on right now, that has anything for Josh Berry as he inches closer, about a tenth or 2 quicker a lap. Blaney ran a 23.785 that last lap to Berry's 23.886. So definitely closing the gap there. Joey Logano looking to make a pass on Daniel's 10th now. Christopher Bell, and speaking of Fords being good, we have another right front tire failure, and it looks to be Chris Buescher in the 17. At least he had gotten up against the wall, and it looks like the right front is down. 91 to go. Caution's out.
See right here, remember, he had stayed out on the racetrack. His last pitted on lap 184. Wow. That was
So
only a right front. It just won't turn. That you saw it. Yeah,
I'm with you. It didn't look like the rest. It just went straight. Marty?
Rick, this is important. A driver near the cut line, and Chris Graves, or Scott Graves, had just told him a moment ago. He said, "We're going to come in about 20 laps. If it gets any tighter, let me know." Next lap, he was in the wall.
Well, you mentioned a tight race car. You're leaning on that right front even more.
Yeah, it's nerve wracking. And, you know, a lot of times when we have tire issues, and Steve mentioned it earlier, see the 5 car get back on the racetrack. When the temperatures are coming down, pace is going to go up. And the track is completely shaded. I mean, there's no sun on it, so the track temp is way down. That means when you fire off on new tires, you're going to be really going fast and actually putting even more load into those tires. So with only just under 90 laps left, drivers and teams still have to be concerned about tires.
And if the 5 looks funny coming out of the garage, he made minimum speed off the damaged vehicle policy so he can go to the garage just to clean up what was happening with the 5. So now I think everyone's going to come to pit road purely because you have to have fuel at this point. Nobody can make it from their last pit stop. I was questioning if Chastain could. Maybe they could stay out from here, but I think that would be a long stretch. I think they've put themselves in a good position. It wouldn't shock me if maybe you saw 2 tires off somebody like Chastain if he needs less fuel than the rest of the field.
And here comes the field, Marty.
William Byron pitched from third, Rick. This pit crew's been fantastic this year. Let's see if they can get him a couple of spots here on pit road. He said, "My center is better. I still need a little bit more help on exit." What could be the final stop of the day with 88 to go, Kim?
Defending champ Ryan Blaney looking for his first win of the season to call number 3, whatever that code is. Needs a little help on the front end of that race car, and it is going to be 2 tires only is what code 3 means. 4 tire stop for Josh Berry. There was a discussion between he and Rodney Tiller on whether they should take 2 or 4. Rodney thinks if it goes green, 4 is the right call. Josh overall happy with the car. Felt like he had more left there. Was just trying to manage it.
A few drivers going with the 2-tire stop, and most beneficial, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. gaining 10 spots on pit road. The caution comes out for the 17 of Chris Busher. 8 cautions already today here at Iowa Speedway.
8 yellows in the first just over 260 laps of this race now. A little less than 90 to go at the Iowa Speedway. They can make it on fuel to the end from here. But by way of, that tire roulette game, I don't know that the tires are going to make it about a full 80-plus laps. So I don't think we've seen the last caution yet. Josh Berry, your race leader, won the race off pit road once again. We'll wait for the rest of the leaderboard to update here before we go back through the top portion of the running order, at least for this next restart. We'll go through the top 10. What that will look like. Again, 87 to go right now. A few more drivers took the wave around to get back on the lead lap by staying out of the pits there because we only have 19 cars, 18 cars on the lead lap, 18 of them. So Hocevar, Cindric, Dillon, Truex, Price, Gregson, Reddick, Briscoe, Nemechek, Burton, LaJoy, and Gibbs, they all took the wave around. So we'll actually have 30 cars on the lead lap then when we get back to racing. These teams will have an extra set of tires. Don't think that's going to really come into play here, though. And my bad, I'm Barry winning the race off of pit road. Ryan Blaney won the race out of the pits. We were waiting for that leaderboard to update. Barry had gone from the lead back to 5th, so losing 4 positions. So Ryan Blaney will be the leader in the restart. Denny Hamlin 2nd, Joey Logano 3rd, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 4th, Josh Berry 5th, Chase Elliott 6th, William Byron 7th, Daniel Suarez 8th, Kyle Busch 9th, Justin Haley 10th.
It's really impressive 2 or 3 wide racing all around this track.
Fun, and the aggression is what surprised me. With the speed, normally drivers can't be as aggressive, but they haven't worried about it here. We've seen a lot of door-to-door, a lot of rubbing. Obviously, teams trying to understand how to make a car drive good, how not to have tire issues. It's been a challenging weekend for the teams, and I love that. I think that's what makes racing great.
Well, the challenge is real. My fear with the new pavement was going to be no options. The drivers are going to be pinned on the white line. It's been anything but. We've seen the bottom, the middle. We've seen slow entries turn to the bottom. The artistic nature of a driver really showing his skill set is on display. They're running these corners different every time through.
Well, let's go down to DJ and Brad. And you guys chose 6 drivers before this race started, and guys you thought might be able to win. How are your picks going?
Not so good. This has not gone well for a few others as we get ready for the choose here. Be interesting to see.
Brandon, it's been an exciting race. If you don't like this, I don't know what it's going to take.
Yeah, I have no idea. I tell you though, DJ, the one guy I've kept a big eye on has been Justin Haley. He went all the way back to 34th. He's 9th right now. That race car is fast. Let's see what happens with this choose.
Yeah, we'll see. The one I'm keeping an eye on is short track specialist Josh Berry. Fast race car, very aggressive, and he's on the getting for a job.
Yeah. That's the question. Right now, we're getting
And we just saw the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. slowed down, and the 4 didn't slow down enough, and he ran into the back end of him right there as they're cleaning the tires. A little bit of damage to the front of the 4, not much.
Drivers.
47 slowed down just a little bit. Josh Berry wasn't paying attention. Ran into the back of it.
Josh Berry on 4 tires, Chase Elliott on 4 tires, and the first 2 on 4. Here it is. 47 checks up. Josh Berry.
Well, he checked out because Blaney checked out.
Under caution, you're looking in the mirror, you're swerving, you're not really focusing that much.
24 car was 6th. He gets a lot of inside row 2. That's 6th to 3rd just with the choose. We'll see if it pays off. 84.
All right, 84 laps left. Green flag back in the air. Stenhouse spins those tires there on the outside of row 2 in the restart. Byron's going to be able to clear up on him while it's side by side for the lead with the Penske Fords of Logano and Blaney in front. Couple lanes 3 wide further back in the top 10 as they race their way off turn 2 down the backstretch and into 3. Stenhouse holds on for 3rd as he blows back by the outside of the 24 of Byron. Byron battles back underneath him off turn 4. Now Stenhouse holds clear again on the front stretch. Blaney clear for the lead at the start-finish line on Logano. Logano ducks back in line behind his teammate. Logano now slides up the racetrack, loses ground to Blaney, stays in front of Stenhouse, and allows for Byron to get underneath the 47, as Stenhouse may have had to lift in the center a little bit more in 1 or 2 with Logano going up the hill. Chase Elliott holding on for 5th on the restart. Berry moving backwards a couple positions. He was leading at the time of the caution, lost 4 positions on pit road, loses another 2 or 3 on the restart. Justin Haley with a big block on Brad Keselowski further back in the running order, and now Brad is 3 wide middle and 1 and 2, and slight contact with Kyle Busch off the exit of the corner. Hocevar underneath both of them, and Busch may have gotten a piece of the wall off the exit of turn 2. Tough to tell for sure, but I believe he does hold on in front of him. Christopher Bell, 3 wide middle. Bubba Wallace trying to work his way in there. Busch out of the groove, and I think he has an issue. He did get into the wall. We're going to stay green here, but Kyle Busch did get into the wall a couple laps ago when he was outside 3 wide, and he might have a toe link issue or a tire issue of some sort. He will make his unscheduled pit stop down onto pit road. And it doesn't look like any tires are down. I think it's a toe link. I think it is a broken toe link on the 8. He's going to lose multiple laps under green flag conditions here. And meanwhile, Joey Logano had lost 2nd to Stenhouse and 3rd to Byron. Logano now back to 4th. As Chastain and Elliott run side by side for 5th. How about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 2nd place position here? Of course, he's one of the few drivers who probably has the most experience at this racetrack, running all those Xfinity Series races back in the early 2010s here. 3-time winner in the Xfinity Series at Iowa is Stenhouse. Seen him up here on pit strategy earlier, but now he's made his way up here on speed. And he's still side by side for 2nd with Byron. Elliott almost got squeezed into the wall by Chastain a couple laps ago. Elliott did eventually win that battle for position. And same for Stenhouse on Byron, stays in front of him again. Now Stenhouse goes to the bottom of the track through 3 and 4. Byron to the top, going to try to build a run up to make another dive, more than likely, into turn 1. Can't get close enough to him to make that dive. Busch back on pit road a 2nd time now. It seems like the suspension's still messed up. Kyle Busch came into this race 8 points below the cutoff line on Bubba Wallace, and as he sits on pit road, he is currently 32 points below the cutoff line. Busch has never missed the playoffs in his NASCAR Cup Series career. He is in danger of potentially missing it here today. Or this season, I should say. And still got 9 races left in the regular season after today, but far from a consistent season for Busch, which is why he's in the situation he's in right now, regardless of what happens from here on out. But he's definitely going to need a quick turnaround. Chase Elliott gets by Joey Logano for 4th. Logano now back to 5th after restarting in 4th, but got to 2nd there pretty well initially. Actually, I believe he was 3rd, but he got to be on the inside of row 2, or row 1, because Byron, who was in 2nd, took the outside of row 2. Then he spun the tires and lost a little ground, but Willie B's gotten his way back to 2nd eventually as he runs right now. Contact between Carson Hocevar and looked like the 38 of Todd Gilliland. Both of those two battling for position. Couple of young guns going for 12th. And Hocevar's running him tight. Gilliland almost bounced off the wall on the exit of turn 2. Bell sits in line behind him, just hoping they don't make a huge mistake directly in front of him. Still 29 cars on the lead lap. Busch was one of the cars on the lead lap because we had 30 in the restart, but now he has fallen 7 laps down in 34th. And Larson had made his way back out onto the racetrack. After fixing the suspension to his car, they had passed through the damaged vehicle policy clock rule. So he's able to go to the garage, fix the car, get it back out there. So Larson could still overtake Busch if they can't get Busch back out on the racetrack. That'd be another point lost for the 8 team. Still got about 25 more laps for Larson to catch up to Busch on the leaderboard. And Busch could still pick up more points if he can continue on if other drivers are to DNF the rest of the night. 70 laps to go at the Iowa Speedway. Ryan Blaney leads by 0.8 of a second over William Byron, kind of trading lap times back and forth between the two. That last lap, Byron was actually about 0.2 quicker than the 12 of Blaney. Chase Elliott, who's had great speed on the long runs today, looking to have this factor in well for him. Blaney's been better on the short run than the Hendrick cars. We haven't seen Byron in a situation to lead any laps yet. In fact, I don't think Byron's led a single lap. Yeah, no laps led for Byron. Blaney's led 133. So he has definitely led quite a few. Well, we saw in the Xfinity race yesterday that Chandler Smith, who won the first 2 stages and led the most laps in that race, was not the winner. So that could happen here 2 days in a row. Byron breathing down the neck and closing in slightly on the defending series champion, Ryan Blaney. Blaney has not won a race since Martinsville of last year. Remember winning that championship, he did not win the race at Phoenix, finished 2nd that day to Ross Chastain. It's been 17 races since Blaney's last win. Ran out of gas coming to the white flag. Just a couple weeks ago at Gateway, he was leading on the last lap at Atlanta this year, got split 3 wide middle, losing that race by 3 1/1000ths of a second. So he has been extremely close to a win on 2 occasions this season. And now he is leading the most laps. I believe this is the only race this season I can recall that Blaney has led the most laps. And nobody's going to be able to overtake it for the most laps led, with Larson being well off the lead lap. As far as drivers that are still on the track, Barry has led 32 laps. That would be the next closest to Blaney at 136 and counting. Again, is how many laps Ryan Blaney's led. And continuing to trade lap times back and forth between the 12 and the 24. That last lap, Blaney only 3 1/1000ths of a second slower than Byron. Blaney, of course, with the clean air advantage for now until they get into lap traffic. Denny Hamlin at the tail end of the lead lap will be going a lap down here in a few as he is over 20 seconds off the lead. Full screen commercial break with 65 laps to go. Ryan Blaney is your race leader as of right now, just over 2.5 hours from the drop of the green flag to where we're at. 97.3 mile per hour average race speed. I mentioned Blaney's led the most laps. He also won stage 1. Larson, who won stage 2, out of the lead lap. 31 laps down for him. As he led 80 laps from the pole today, Blaney started second. 8 cautions, 1 for incident in stage 3 so far. 2 for incident in stage 3 so far. And we had 2 cautions for incident in stage 1 and stage 2 and 2 stage breaks, so that makes up the even 8 cautions. 9 drivers have led at least 1 lap so far. And we've had 18 lead changes amongst those 9 different leaders. Again, 29 cars on the lead lap, so those are some race stats. Again, 62 laps to go. You're listening live on KRC to the Iowa Corn 350. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe for more NASCAR content. Keith Kumpa, thanks for tuning in. Jeffrey Giordano, thanks for tuning in also. Some of you that I haven't seen in the chat till just now. ProMod Studios, thanks for tuning in. Larson 35th, and he's led 80 laps tonight. Caught up in that incident, unfortunately, early in stage 3. Let you listen into more of the USA Network broadcast for the next little bit.
Blaney gets the victory lane. It's something that Jeff Sports on Sirius XM Wednesday. That's 9 a.m. Eastern. NASCAR Radio Channel 90, where Jeff Burton, the mayor, will join the morning drive and to discuss this race and look forward to New Hampshire, a race which you're very familiar with. Get the victory lane a couple times there.
Yeah, I always love calling into the show. I encourage the fans to call in and ask tough questions. Don't throw some
New Hampshire.
Tough question.
Don't they go to Nashville next week?
Well, it's found its way back up into the top 10.
Don't they go to Nashville? Oh, they do go to New Hampshire.
Into the turn. Got all the way to the inside of Brad Keselowski. Let's see if he can complete the pass.
New Hampshire, then Nashville. I was unaware of this.
Still.
It's amazing to me. Bicycle with such pace. Too wide. It just lose track instantly. Yet, these guys are side by side, and far behind is not running them down. They're not running the car in front of them down or losing ground to it either.
Multiple crews here at Iowa.
I think that's exceptionally encouraging. What can be learned from this race? We talked about repaves where it's only one lane. You said earlier, Steve, well, what's different here?
Right.
Like, what made it so it came in so quickly? And by the way, North Wilkesboro did the same thing. We had multiple lead rooms immediately there. So this has been a fun race to watch. How can we apply it to future races?
And listen, we've talked a lot about tires in a negative way, right? A little trouble on Saturday, trouble again today. Maybe that's the tip of the hat. Maybe we need to talk to Goodyear. Remember, Goodyear is here to market their brand. Yet they have taken a huge gamble or risk to try to help the racing. Softer tires, option tires, all these different things they have done this year that they don't have to. They can bring tires that absolutely last and they're kind of rock hard and nobody loves them. They're not taking that approach. They're being proactive and bringing really, really good race tires. So to your point, Jeff, between Wilkesboro and here, what's the magic mix? Dave.
Catching up with Kyle Brooks, he stepped out of the 8 car. Kyle, what started things there? I was hearing suspension and then another issue.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but next gen parts and pieces broke. So something in the left rear suspension. I don't know if it was a toe link or what it was, but it changed the skew of the back of the car and just undrivable doing that. So came in and fixed it, rolling back out, blew the power steering line off for the belt. It just broke the belt. So I have no idea, but frustrating for sure. Not what we wanted for all of our zone guys, everybody from Quick Trip. Having a pretty decent day. I mean, I thought we had a top 10 run going, and we had an opportunity there to score some points, but not to be.
It went away for him today, guys.
Unfortunate. And again, Kyle, one of those champions still looking for a win in 2024.
Coming off a race last weekend where it looked like he was going to have a good finish and ended up getting wrecked by the one car right in front of us here late in the race and gave all those points up.
Was we right on ball with Christopher Bell and the Toyota onboard? Let's take a look at the progressive telemetry, exactly what he's doing behind the wheel, how the car is performing. Jeff, that fresh pavement has really allowed these guys to not use a lot of brake, and actually, I haven't seen a lot of shifting out of these cars. I mean, it's been the year of shifting, yet here in Iowa, no shifting.
Yeah, no shifting because there's so much grip with the asphalt. The car doesn't slow down enough. You see Bell get a big run on Chastain.
That spot away from Chastain, so Bell up to 8th now. Still moving forward. Blaney up front has an 0.8 of a second lead over William Byron, Chase Elliott, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Logano all top 5. Josh Berry running 6th. Suarez and Bell 7th and 8th. Chastain and Haley 9th and 10th. What's it going to take William Byron to reel in Blaney?
Well, I think there's a lot of question marks for a lot of cars. 36 lap green flag run, 4 to go. So it wouldn't be the longest green flag run, but if you remember back to what was the longest, there were multiple tire issues before that run did come to an end with wall contact. So that, I think, is the answer to your question, Rick, right? It's Blaney and Byron, but how hard are they pushing? Marty, are you hearing anything with the leaders?
Well, it's under a second from William Byron, and they're pretty convinced they're better than the 12. So how are Rudy Fugel and William Byron shaping up this battle for the win with 47 to go? Listen.
Back on lap side here. Bruce Lapper out the front. Can remember through the bottom by himself. I got the 6 of them going to end the next one. 12 tires running.
So, Jeff, how much information do you want about the car you're chasing down if you're trying to win a race like this, like William Byron now knows Ryan Blaney, in theory, according to Rudy Fugel, a little bit tighter on exit?
Brandon Lyons, the spotter, William Byron, they've had a lot of conversations prior to the day about what does he want, right? What information can I provide to you that can help you make a pass or keep from getting past? So he got exactly what he's been asking for in all their meetings, all their preparations. The other thing I think is important is that, remember, Blaney has 2 tires, and Byron has 4. And that didn't make much difference taking off, but later in this run, as they get further and further into it, will it start to matter?
Here's Bell, and close call for him.
Wow. That is... Watch his hands. Whoa! I mean, he's turned to the right. I mean, that is a great save. It shows you how on edge the cars are, right? And these cars are very difficult to drive. He's trying to get every 1/10 of a second out of that car. Just a little bit too much entry speed, and around that thing went.
And as quickly as he turned to the right and then caught it, was straight back out, took his hand off the wheel and was driving with one hand. I mean,
They're not normal.
it's so casual for these guys to be so good.
And you see on the left-hand side the mix of tires in the field. Those 2 tires still holding on near the front. Still 42 to go, though.
With under 42 to go, Blaney on 2 fresh tires on that last stop. Out in front, William Byron, 4 fresh tires. Can he reel him in?
Another side-by-side NASCAR nonstop commercial break on the USA Network. We'll go through the full field running order one final time in today's race with 40 laps to go. Again, Ryan Blaney, your race leader. William Byron is in second, just 1.1 seconds behind Blaney for the lead. Chase Elliott's up to third. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. holding strong in fourth. Joey Logano in fifth. Josh Berry sixth. Christopher Bell seventh. Daniel Suarez eighth. Ross Chastain ninth, and Justin Haley rounds out the top 10. Alex Bowman in 11th, Brett Keselowski 12th, Michael McDowell 13th, Todd Gilliland 14th, and Martin Truex Jr. 15th. 16th place is Tyler Reddick. Carson Hocevar 17th, Chase Briscoe 18th, Austin Dillon 19th, and Noah Gregson 20th. 21st is Bubba Wallace, Harrison Burton 22nd, Chris Buescher 23rd, Ryan Preece 24th, and John Hunter Nemechek 25th. Ty Gibbs 26th, 27th for Corey LaJoie. First car lap down is Austin Cindric in 28th, Denny Hamlin 29th, and Daniel Hemrick 30th. Zane Smith 31st, Eric Jones 32nd, 33rd for Kaz Grala. Kyle Larson 34th, has made his way by Kyle Busch in the running order. Busch in the garage area 35th, and AJ Allmendinger out after a right front tire failure in stage 1. He'll finish 36th. 37 laps to go still. A little under 3 hours into this race at 99.25 mile per hour average race speed. And our current race leader, Ryan Blaney, has now led 164 laps and counting in this race. He's led more laps today than he has led on the season as a whole. If he could just lead a couple more laps, he's led 166 coming into the day. So looking to double that total here tonight at the Iowa Speedway. He's got a 9/10 of a second lead still. We'll go through the pre-race predictions, how those guys are running one final time here in the final 40 laps as well. The three must-haves, Chase Elliott in third, and then the other two, Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson, not so good. Hamlin had an incident with Larson. Both of them have been dropped back after running in the top 10 before that. Larson, who scored more stage points than anybody today, won stage 2, led 80 laps from the pole, probably had the fastest car in the field, was actually my win pick as well. And he is currently 34th on track, but 34 laps down. Again, Hamlin 2 laps down in 29th as well. Not quite on the lead lap pace anymore. The other picks, Sleeper's doing pretty well tonight. Josh Berry in 7th. Justin Haley just got dropped down a spot. Bowman just passed him for 10th a couple laps ago. So Haley in 11th. He could still get that top 10. It's going to be close there. Chase Briscoe's the other sleeper pick to get a top 10 here today. And he is currently 18th, which is about as high as he's been really since stage 1, where he qualified in the top 10, started 6th today. 3 don't have picks to finish outside the top 10. Kyle Busch, call it. I know he was running top 10 for most of the day, but my bad juju continues. I predict the guy to finish outside the top 10. It usually happens. No short track top 10s for Busch this season. That will continue. He's 46 laps down in 35th. As far as the other don't have picks to not finish in the top 10 this season, or sorry, not this season, but tonight specifically, they will get top 10s the rest of the year, but not tonight. The other ones I had Ross Chastain, he's in 10th as of right now. Bowman just passed him. He was in 9th. And Justin Haley's lap times are quicker than Chastain as well, so Chastain could be fading here over this long run, but as of right now, he's in 10th. I have him not to finish in the top 10. The other don't have pick was Bubba Wallace. He is in 21st. So he was looking good there in stage 2. I don't know what has happened here in stage 3, but he's definitely gone backwards. Toyotas have just not been great today. Christopher Bell has probably been the best Toyota all weekend. And he actually crashed his primary car because of a right front tire failure in practice on Friday afternoon. And he had been in the top 10 earlier. He actually led laps during green flag pit cycling, but he made his way up to about 6th or 7th at the time then. And now he's made his way up to 5th. So this is really the first time Bell's been in the top 5 today on speed, not counting the green flag pit cycling. He actually got trapped a lap down because of the caution in stage 2 during those green flag pit stops that I was just talking about. He had pitted few laps right before the caution came out. It's bad timing to do that, and as a result, it had put him a lap down. He got the wave around at the end of stage 2, and here he is up to 5th place now all of a sudden with just 30 laps to go. And his lap times are pretty good right now. In fact, his last lap, Bell was the second quickest car on the track. The only car quicker than Bell was Alex Bowman in 9th. So Bowman and Bell are the quickest cars on the track right now. They're in 5th and 9th place. Problem is, for Bell, he's 7 seconds off the lead with just 28 to go on a short track. So he's probably not going to get to the lead. He can get up to 4th, though. He's within a second of both Stenhouse. Well, just Stenhouse. I guess he's in 5th. So, yeah, he can get by Stenhouse here. I don't know that he's going to catch the top 3 without a caution, but 27 to go. Got a 3-horse race for the win. Top 3 all within a second. Take a quick break here, and we'll take you to the finish of the Iowa Corn 350 at the Iowa Speedway right here on KRC. You're listening live to the NASCAR Cup Series. So watching the battle continue onwards with Blaney, Byron, and Elliott. Elliott slowly getting closer to Byron's back bumper. That last lap, Elliott was the quickest of the three. Blaney trying to work in lap traffic right now. He's got 2 lap cars between himself and Byron. Just got by Ty Gibbs and Ryan Preece, it looks like. That last lap. Preece on the bottom. Going to let the Hendrick cars behind him go to the outside. But now Gibbs in that middle upper groove right in front of Byron. So huge dirty air wake. And this is allowing Blaney to stretch this lead out just a bit. Byron's going to have to go to the bottom of the track through 3 and 4, but so is Blaney to get by his next lap car. Blaney working on Austin Dillon in the 3. Bell to 4th on the outside as he blows the doors off the 47 of Stenhouse. Stenhouse going to try to hold on for a top 5 finish here to the end. 10 positions gained since the last restart for Bell from 14th to 4th. 24 to go. First lap after passing the 47. I'm curious to see what his lap time will be compared to the leaders. He's still about 7 seconds behind him, so he's not going to be able to catch him again without a caution. Last couple laps, Elliott's lost a little ground to Byron through the lap traffic. Michael McDowell's down on the pit road, flat right front, second time today. McDowell's had a right front tire go down on him. Doesn't look like any major contact with the wall. He'll continue on, and he was on the lead lap at the time of this tire failure, so did a great job getting back onto the lead lap, and now he'll fall a couple laps down with this unscheduled stop late in the race. And he will not be getting back on the lead lap again here today. Chris Buescher about to go a lap down. He had a flat right front earlier in this final stage, in fact. Brought out a caution. It's the most recent caution we had. So we saw McDowell blow right front, and we've gone pretty deep into this green flag run so far. Just over 40 laps since the last restart. Blaney's still building that gap, though, over Byron. There's a few lap cars, 3 of them, in fact, in between Byron and Blaney. And actually, McDowell, who cycled out of the pits, cycled behind the 12, but in front of the 24. So he may end up having enough speed to get up to the 12. Blaney's going to have to let him by, but that's also going to mean that he's probably going to be in the dirty air behind him for quite some time, with McDowell having the fresher Goodyears. Byron to the inside of the 21 of Burton. He'll pass him cleanly. Probably going to have to wait till the next corner to get by Buescher next. And Blaney's separating himself from Byron and Elliott. And Byron slowly separating himself from Elliott as well. Blaney to the outside to get by Chase Briscoe in the 14. Briscoe now goes a lap down. Just 17 cars on the lead lap. McDowell, after his pit stop, is 3 down, trying to get the 2 down. McDowell in 28th. Again, he's on slightly fresher tires. McDowell to the inside. Blaney up above him. This will slow Blaney up for a little bit. Again, the big question is how much is it going to slow Blaney up now that the 34 is in front of him? He's going to have to try to pick a different line than him every single corner. Hopefully McDowell just gets far enough ahead that he won't have to worry about any dirty air after some amount of time. And he's in that middle to upper groove where Blaney wants to run. Byron's still got 1 car in front of him, which would be Briscoe, who just went a lap down. Byron looking to the inside of the lapper. Kyle Larson about to be lapped yet again. He's off the pace. McDowell just passed him. Blaney now to the outside of the 5. We have just 15 laps to go at the Iowa Speedway. Blaney close to a win a few times this season. Hasn't been able to get it done. If he wins, he'll be the 10th different winner in 2024. We'll still have 9 races before the playoffs after today, so the race for 16 different winners is still there. Next three drivers in the running order behind Blaney each have a win. Byron with 3, Elliott with 1, and Bell with 2. Stenhouse in 5th will be the next highest in the running order without a win this year. Bell still the fastest car on the racetrack, but again, he's still 5 seconds off the lead with just 13 to go in a short track. Again, he is not going to get there, but he's had to come from so deep in the field on multiple occasions today. Started at the rear in a backup car nonetheless, made his way up into the top 10, got trapped a lap down during green flag pit stops and a caution in stage 2, got the wave around at the end of stage 2 to start stage 3, and he's back up into 4th. So actually 4th is as high as he has been on speed. He led laps during green flag pit stops, but really only got himself up to about 6th or 7th before then. Obviously, some of the other front runners, like a Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, have had problems that he's been able to cycle in front of during this run, which is probably why he's in 4th as well. But successful day for Bell, but you just wonder what could have been. Next week, though, he goes to probably his best track on the schedule at New Hampshire. So it could be a good rebound weekend for Bell, who has been very hot as of late. And he's had speed in a lot of races this season, but hasn't had great finishes to go with him. At least he'll get a good finish today. Unless something catastrophic happens here in the closing laps. Which he could blow right front, only because we have seen that happen to Bell already this weekend, and we've seen it to several drivers, tonight and throughout all the racing or practice sessions we've had this weekend as well. So, guess it's not possible. We'll hope that doesn't happen, though. 9 to go this time by for Ryan Blaney. 7/10 of a second lead now. Byron's closed the last couple laps, so now Byron's having to work by both Bubba Wallace and then Noah Gragson. Next lap car in front of Ryan Blaney, I believe, is Carson Hocevar, Denny Hamlin. Last car in the lead lap is Hocevar, but Hamlin a couple laps down will be the next lapper in 26th place. Blaney will have led over 200 laps tonight if he continues to lead every lap to the finish. Won't have to worry about running out of gas here today. Like he did at Gateway a couple weeks ago, everybody pitted at the same time during the last caution, which was with just around 80 to go. Full fuel run, you can go slightly over 100 laps, so no problem there. Just got to hope the tires stay on the car to the end. 7 to go. He's got a good enough pace. Byron's not out of it yet, but the 12 and the 24 are so equal. It's so dependent on lap traffic, and Blaney's just been getting through the lap traffic much better than the 24 of Byron. Got the Midnight Black Advanced Auto Parts scheme. I don't know that he's won in this scheme before. He's had alternate paint schemes with this car the last several seasons. Really since 2021. I know he has won in the Advanced Auto Parts car before, but cool to do it with the black scheme if he's able to do it here today. I believe Zane Smith about to go another lap down. He'll go 3 down now as Blaney and Byron both get by to the outside. Smith pulls out of the way for both of them through 1 and 2. Byron's cut the lead down to a half a second. 4 to go at the line. This time by. Martin Truex Jr. is now the last car in the lead lap in front of the 12. He's in the 15th place position, and he'll let Blaney get by to the inside underneath him. Byron going to try to close that gap now. Truex will get out of the way. Byron to the bottom. I will say it seems like Truex might have held Byron up a little bit more than Blaney. Not sure that was necessarily intentional, but Byron did have a little bit more troubles getting by him. Allowed for Blaney to be a couple hundredths quicker than the 24 that last lap. A couple tenths quicker, actually. This time by Blaney a couple hundredths quicker. 2 to go. 2 laps to go for Ryan Blaney. Heard him in qualifying. He said he had a lot of fans in the stands this weekend. A lot of family up there. And, of course, dirt track racing country out in Iowa, which his dad and his uncle, Dave and Dale, very successful in. The Knoxville Nationals going on annually, not too far from where the Iowa Speedway is located in the state of Iowa. Made the trip out here, and he just missed the pole by a mere matter of thousandths of seconds again to Kyle Larson. But here today, after having so many close efforts to a win this season, is finally going to break through to victory lane tonight under the lights in the first ever NASCAR Cup race at Iowa. He's an Xfinity Series winner here, and now he's a Cup Series winner here. Ryan Blaney wins at the Iowa Speedway. 7/10 of a second margin of victory for Ryan Blaney. 2 hours, 58 minutes, 36 seconds total time on our race. No overtime needed here today. 350 laps, 350 miles was the scheduled distance. 350 laps, not miles, but 350 laps in this one. That was a scheduled distance. That's what we got to here today. No more needed. 101.49 mile per hour was the average race speed. Blaney dominates. 201 laps led. He won stage 1. He finished 4th in stage 2, but gets the race win. Great tire strategy call to get him back in the lead. Those left sides held on for over 100 laps here at stage 3. And the right sides obviously held on the whole run as well. Speed was in it all weekend. Top 5 in practice, qualifying, and now the race with the win. Again, 201 laps led. He led 4 different times. Kyle Larson, the stage 2 winner, led 80 laps from the pole. They were definitely the 2 best cars all weekend. Larson probably had the better car in the race, but got into an incident at the beginning of stage 3. Blaney capitalized off of it and got the win. Fitting how it works out like that in a race where on the stat sheet really could have went either way, but the eye test would say Larson had the best car, but in instances where Blaney's had the best car on 2 occasions this season and didn't get the win, it's fitting that tonight he doesn't have the best one and he does get the win. Didn't have to wait long after that heartbreaker just a couple weeks ago in Gateway. 2 weeks later, next to Oval, in fact, he goes to victory lane. Other laps led would include Chris Buescher, who led for 16. 32 laps led for Josh Berry tonight. He was the 3rd most laps led leader. Keselowski led for 5. Suarez led for 4. 4 for Stenhouse. 7 for Bell. And 1 for Elliott. Those were all on either restarts or green flag pit stops. Pit stops in general. Some under caution with them staying out of the pits. 8 cautions. 2 for incident in stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. And then the 2 stage ends at lap 70 and lap 210. Nine different drivers led at least 1 lap in the race today. And we had 18 lead changes in this race with those 9 different leaders as well. We'll go through the rest of the full field finishing results, how the predictions ended up from the pre-race and the Fantasy League, and all that fallout following the finish of tonight's Iowa Corn 350 at Iowa. But first, here's your race winner, Ryan Blaney.
Gonna go get the checkered flag and find a young fan to be able to hand that to. He's getting that out now. And I would say with all the friends and family here, he's gonna maybe ask for a couple of replicas of this one. There you go, Ryan. 80 friends and family are here. Did this one mean a little bit more?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, man, I mean, what a cool way to win here. This place is a lot, means a lot to me. It means a lot to my mom. And, we had a lot of people here tonight cheering us on. So they willed us to that one. So overall, I really appreciate all 12 boys. I mean, our car was really fast all night. And we got a little bit better through the night. And 2 tires was a good call there. I didn't know how well I was going to hold on. I kind of started to struggle a little bit at the end, but had enough to hang on. So super proud of the effort. Appreciate Advanced Auto Parts, Ford Performance, Menards, Discount Tire, Worth, Snap-on, Dex Imaging, Wabash, everything they do makes up a little bit from a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so we were watching your friends and family on those final few laps and them cheering you on. How's this going to work, Ryan? Are all 80 coming to victory lane?
I hope so.
we'll see. But I'm looking forward to seeing them. It's always good to have family, and I've been super lucky to have family that support me, through my career, and it's great that they're, still support me just as much as they did day one. So also want to appreciate the showdown crowd. You guys were, it's a cool weekend, man. Really cool to win the first cup race here. I can't believe we come back to many more years.
So special it deserved a burnout. That's only the second time I've seen you do a burnout, Ryan.
Home track, I got you. Main spot. I've won. It's cool to win a truck here, Xfinity car here, now cup car. That was cool. Gosh, I'm worn out. It was a long race and driving hard, and I figured I deserved to burn out. So hopefully Dale isn't too mad at me.
How about that, Iowa race fans? The driver with the hometown connection right here in Iowa, Ryan Blaney, gets to victory lane.
That's great.
Cool. You have to acknowledge.
We'll go through the rest of the finishing results right now. Then again, margin of victory for Ryan Blaney, about 7/10 of a second en route to his 200-lap lead win here at Iowa Speedway. William Byron goes on to finish second, Chase Elliott third, Christopher Bell fourth, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. rounds out the top five and fifth. Joey Logano sixth, Josh Berry seventh, Alex Bowman eighth, Daniel Suarez ninth, and Brad Keselowski 10th. 11th place for Ross Chastain, Todd Gilliland in 12th, Justin Haley 13th, Carson Hocevar was the last car in the lead lap in 14th. 15th place was Martin Truex Jr., one lap down, Noah Gragson 16th, Bubba Wallace 17th, Chris Buescher 18th, Austin Dillon 19th, and Harrison Burton 20th. 21st was Corey LaJoie, Tyler Reddick 22nd, Michael McDowell 23rd, Denny Hamlin 24th, Ty Gibbs 25th. John Hunter Nemechek 26th, Ryan Preece 27th, Chase Briscoe 28th, Daniel Hemrick 29th, Austin Cindric 30th. Zane Smith 31st, Eric Jones 32nd, Kaz Grella 33rd, Kyle Larson 34th, Kyle Busch 35th, and AJ Allmendinger 36th. There was only two cars at DNF. That would have been Kyle Busch, AJ Allmendinger. Larson finished 36 laps down, but still finished the race. Came back out of the garage after a suspension issue earlier, following an incident he also had at the beginning of stage 3. Went over the other race stats in this one. How did the predictions fall out here for this one? Well, we'll start off with the don't haves. 3 for 3 once again. How about that? Chastain was close. He finished 11th, but he did slip out of the top 10 there in those closing laps. Keselowski got around him in the final 10. So Ross Chastain does not get a top 10. I was right there. I was right on Kyle Busch not getting a top 10. Had problems there in the late going, despite having probably a top 10 car. So Busch ends up finishing 35th. And then Bubba Wallace was the other don't have pick, and he finished 17th, one lap down. So 3 for 3 on the don't haves. My must have picks, though, I was only 1 for 3. Chase Elliott finishing in third. He was my second pegged guy to win the race tonight. Kyle Larson was my number 1. He finished 34th. Again, got that wreck early in stage 3. Probably had the faster car of the day. It was definitely between him and Blaney. Blaney seemed a little bit better on the fire-off speed, but Larson on that long run could really get going there, and I thought he had the best car, but got in that wreck, lost track position, obviously, on pit road, which kind of helped lead to that on the restart. He was back in traffic a little more, and definitely cost him after winning stage 2, moments later getting in that crash. The other must-have pick outside of those two would have been Denny Hamlin, who was also in that same incident. He finished 24th, 2 laps down. So slight bit of damage there on Hamlin's car as well after fighting back to get in the top 10 at the end of stage 2. We're on pace early. Was a lap down at the end of stage 1. Sleeper picks for tonight. Looks like only one of them finished in the top 10. That one was Josh Berry finishing in 7th. Justin Haley was top 10 for stage 1. And then he was top 10 throughout most of stage 3. But that long run there to the finish, he started sliding back. Ended up finishing 13th place. So I was close. I was close on taking Haley there. That was definitely a bold prediction. I haven't taken him to finish top 10 all year. But he was hot coming in, and by way of Rick Ware Racing, hot with getting 2 top 10s in the last 4 races, plus a 4th in the All-Star Open in that stretch of races, which didn't count towards those top 10s that I mentioned, which were 9th at Gateway and 9th at Darlington. But 13th tonight, we'll see if they can keep good runs going on more ovals to come, especially flat ovals, again, like he did with Gateway here at Iowa tonight, next week at New Hampshire. Indy coming up as well. Although that's a faster, flat oval, still flat oval nonetheless. Other sleeper pick would have been finishing outside the top 10. Chase Briscoe, 2 laps down in 28, just had nothing. I thought he was going to have something. SHR looked fast, practice qualifying. Barry looked fast. Briscoe's fast in practice qualifying, top 10 in both. He was 10th in practice, qualified 6th. I thought he would, kind of flirt around with where Barry finished. And Barry actually had a lot more speed. He was top 5 in the first half of the race quite often. He led 32 laps, third most in the race today, but slipped back to 7th there on the longer run. But yeah, Briscoe did not have a similar car to him. And I think Briscoe might have had contact on one of the restarts as well, which could have hindered his speed a little bit, but even still, he was off. Even from the initial start of the race, he kind of fell outside the top 10, was running around 15th for most of it. I think he got trapped a lap down with that caution in the middle of green flag stops. That hurt him even worse. Just bad day overall for Briscoe. So overall in the predictions, 3 for 3 in the don't haves. 1 for 3 on each of the sleepers and the must haves. A 5-4 record. Today I went 5 for 9 on my picks. So, not like the last 2 weeks where I was red hot and I went, like 8 for 9 and 9 for 10, I think, the week before that at Gateway. So, yeah, we cooled off a little bit this weekend, but still above 500, so I'll take that. That's a solid weekend for predictions. All right, so I paused the race broadcast because they had the up-to-date standings on the NASCAR season, so I'll read that off for you right now. Ryan Blaney's the 10th different winner, so he is now locked into the playoffs with a win. Again, 3 wins apiece for Larson, Hamlin, Byron, 2 for Bell, and then now 6 drivers with 1 win. Blaney, of course, after tonight. Tyler Reddick, Austin Cindric, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Daniel Suarez. 6 drivers in on points right now. Martin Truex Jr. plus 122. He literally didn't gain or lose any points to the cutoff line today, so still over 2 races to the good. Ross Chastain's plus 71 points. He's 12th. Ty Gibbs is plus 70 points in 13th. Alex Bowman plus 66 at 14th. Then it gets tighter after that. Chris Buescher's only 27 points to the good. Had a flat right front earlier in stage 3 today. Finished 18th. A lap down. Bubba Wallace didn't have a great day, but he is plus 6 ahead of Logano. Logano came into the day minus 17. He comes out minus 6, so he gains 11 points on Bubba Wallace. Kyle Busch, who was only 8 points behind Wallace coming into the day, is now 31 points back after his DNF, finishing 35th. At least he got stage points in stage 1 and stage 2 to try to help salvage that today. Chase Briscoe also had a very off day. He loses points. He was minus 27 coming in, and now he's minus 44. Todd Gilliland is now 20th in the point standings after having a pretty solid day. I think he got stage points in stage 2, finished 12th. Solid for Front Row Motorsports, to say the least, and for Todd Gilliland. So, yeah, Gilliland 20th in points, but he's over a race and a half worth of points out of the playoffs as well. So I'm going to fast forward to see if we get any interviews before we get into more in-depth analysis on the predictions. Yeah, here's William Byron, Dave Burns.
Traffic okay, and felt like I was making marginal gains too, and tires would get hot down there, and I just would start sliding the rears around a little bit, entries. Just really good effort by our team. We struggled on Friday, and then had a really good qualifying effort, and then had a bad restart in the middle of the race. That was terrible. Just didn't get the tires cleaned off, and it was really weird tonight. It was a repave, and it seemed like the tires would take a lap or 2 to go. So once we figured that out, we had some better restarts, but just proud of this team. We definitely need to put together some consistent runs, and this is a good start, and would love to be winning tonight, but Ryan and those guys were really good, so congrats to them.
There were a lot of unknowns coming in, William, and then you talked about some weirdness. I mean, how many challenges were there out there tonight? Because, in the end, Tyler Failure was not one of them, but were you being careful?
No, I mean, you just kind of run it for all it's got, but you try to stay conscious of it. We never had tire issues all weekend, so just the restarts, with scuffed tires or new tires just sliding around for a lap, and it's pretty hairy on the restarts, just trying to get grip in the car. So I feel like we maximize our day, and just going from here, try to have a good race at New Hampshire. That's been a tough one.
And it's the best finish for you since Martinsville in April. I know it's been a long time coming. You guys have been working at it.
Yeah, we've been working hard. I think we've had speed for most of the weeks. Maybe besides Gateway, wasn't our best, but last week could have easily been up in front and contending for a win. But this is a really good start to put the whole race together, and even through some adversity. So really proud of that.
Strong run tonight for William. Second place finish.
Fast forward here through the upcoming commercial break, I would more than likely think. See if we get any other interviews on the other side of it. While I wait on that, I'll pull up the fantasy standings for this weekend. Now that we've gone through the finishing results, some race statistics, and how the pre-race predictions ended up finishing out at the end of things here today. Ryan Blaney out in victory lane. Chase Elliott has been caught up with on pit road after finishing third.
Any surprises for you out there?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of surprises. That wasn't really sure what to expect with the tire, and yeah, the racetrack kind of changed a lot. I thought throughout the day the lanes changed a lot. We were able to move around. I thought it was actually a much better race than I was anticipating it being with the repave. So thought all that was really good. Congrats to Ryan. He did a great job, getting up through there, and always good to see him get one if we can't. But I think ultimately really proud of our Napa team and just continuing to put together solid days. Just need a little bit more to kind of set the pace and be up there leading laps like I feel like we can. So it's been nice to be in the fight though and have a shot there in the closing laps.
You mentioned the solid days. With this third place finish, this is the second straight top 5, but more importantly, you're the only driver to finish in the top 20 in all of the races this season. What do you feel like you guys have done right that maybe other teams are missing?
Well, I feel like we've been, working on the right things throughout the course of the season, but just to finish all the races, you have to have some good fortune go your way. I think we've been fortunate to stay out of trouble, trouble a couple days where we probably should have been in trouble. So that stuff's going to happen, and it's just part of racing. But for us, we just got to focus on the things that we can control, and that's good prep throughout the week and bringing fast race cars like we've been doing, and keeping ourselves up there in the fight, and let the rest of it kind of figure itself out. So proud of where we're at. Just got to keep it rolling and keep trucking.
Podium finish for Chase Elliott and this team.
Yeah, you talk about the role they're on, Cam. I mean, it's been incredible.
All right, so I've got the Fantasy League up. I actually finished 8th this week, which I'm quite surprised. Again, I forgot to set my lineup today. So I had last week's lineup in. It actually didn't do that bad for me. I did move Reddick into the garage. He had spent his race a lap down from stage 2 onward for the most part. So I made that switch when I needed to, and the rest of the finishers fairly good for the most part. I had Byron on the team, finished 2nd. Elliott on the team, finished 3rd. Daniel Suarez on my team this weekend, finished in 9th. Joey Logano was on the team, finished 6th. Ross Chastain 11th. So all in the top 11 there. I will take that. I didn't get any bonus points. That would have helped. I probably would have gotten 30. Looking back at the guys who I probably would have taken, I would have taken Elliott over Bell. Again, Elliott was my number 2 guy to win the race this weekend. Blaney just looked better than Logano all week. Practice qualifying, I would have taken him. Would have taken Byron over Truex just because I thought the Hendrick cars were easily beating the Toyotas through most of the weekend, and that would have hit. I would have taken Larson over Hamlin because Larson was my win pick, so that was the one I probably would have missed. So I didn't leave too many points. Well, I left 30 points out there, obviously. And as far as like the starting 5 that I would have had, I probably would have changed those around a little bit, but finishing 8th this week is respectable for me, all things considered. 184 points total. Monster Jam X10 gets the win this week, 230 points total. Kate the Great finishes 2nd with 208. Frank T26 also 208 points, tied for 2nd. 4th place finish for Dark Crypto with 198. And War Given Buckeye Racing Team finishes in 5th with 195 points. So that rounds out our top 5. We'll take a look at Monster Jam X10 and his team. He had Ryan Blaney, Josh Berry, William Byron. Yeah, I definitely would have had Berry in my lineup today. He was one of my sleeper picks coming into the weekend. I don't know that I would have pulled the trigger on the other 2, but Berry definitely looked quick. But yeah, he also had Byron, Elliott. He did have Larson. I definitely would have had Larson on my team this week, so I guess that would have hurt me, versus whoever else I had in my lineup because they would have beaten him. So it's kind of probably ended up working out the same, really. Only place, again, I got hurt was the bonus points. And as far as bonus points for Monster Jam X10, He ended up going 2 for 4. He had Byron over Truex and Blaney over Logano, but he missed the Bell over Elliott and the Larson over Hamlin. He missed that one. Had those drivers instead of the other. Here's Christopher Bell now with Kim Kuhn on pit road.
It was a lot, and the adversity, it kept coming all day long. You know, the start of the race, I felt like we had really good pace and the car handled well, especially whenever the tires got hot. And then the strategy completely backfired on us in stage 2 and got us buried. And whenever I was back in traffic, I really struggled on new tires. I don't know why that was. I mean, I was the slowest car in the field on new tires, and then all of a sudden they'd get hot, and I'd be one of the fastest cars. So overall, it was a very great weekend for the Ream team to show up and go to the top of the charts in the primary early in practice, have the tire failure, and then come back with a backup car and be very competitive is a lot of effort. And these guys deserve all the credit because I can't explain to you guys how hard it was to prepare this backup car in the NASCAR Cup Series garage.
You had found success here in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and I would consider a 4th place finish in the inaugural Cup race is a success too. But your thoughts on that partial repave?
I mean, they definitely need to repave the rest of the corners at least. If they don't want to do the straightaways, that's fine. But they need to do the entire corners. I'm hopeful that they do it tomorrow or next week, and then we have a full year to sit on it before we come back. And the longer that it sits, the better it's going to get. If we would have had a Cup race on the old Iowa, it would have been a barn burner for sure.
Just such an impressive day for this 20 team, DJ. And I know I did the story during the race. I want to go back.
Alrighty, so that was Christopher Bell again. He finished 4th place today. So you got interviews from the top 4 finishers up to this point. We've gone through the Fantasy League. Yeah, Monster GMX10 in the chat. Congrats to you for winning this weekend. Overall in the points, Troy the Great came in with the lead with 32.75. 32.40 was Hercules Harrigan in second. Frank T26 was in third. Monster Jam X10 was 4th in points coming into the week, but the top 4 all within 100 points of each other coming in to this week. Dale 30 was 5th with 31.43 coming in, so still fairly tight overall in the standings. That was 12th. And I forgot my lineup, but I also didn't do too bad this week, so I'll just fight for a top 10 at this point and get the reset the playoffs. I'll try to go for the championship win there. Again, if you're not in the Fantasy League already, definitely do so. You got a chance to win 2 tickets to any NASCAR race if you're choosing the following season, excluding the Daytona 500, if you win the regular season championship or our playoff championship. You can join on the NASCAR.com website or the NASCAR mobile app. Sign up with your email, free to join. Just got to be a subscriber of the channel to get the grand prize if you do win either of those championships. KRC League is the name of the league, and all caps on KRC, space, capital L on league. So I just put that name in the chat. You can look it up there. Only other thing we have to do now is go over the schedule for next weekend. So I actually thought Nashville was next weekend. It is not. New Hampshire will be next week. So the trucks will be off again. I was thinking Nashville came up first. I'm not used to New Hampshire being in June. It's usually July, but because of the Olympics, I think they moved it up to June because that would have been one of the off weeks. So yeah, next weekend, June 23rd, Sunday, we'll be live right here for the NASCAR Cup Series race. Truck Series, again, will be off next weekend. It'll be the 3rd consecutive off week for the trucks. So it'll be just Xfinity and Cup action next weekend on the channel. Our live commentary will begin on Saturday afternoon, Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, with Cup Series practice and qualifying. That'll all be on the same stream. Again, Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern. And I just clicked on Nashville, so my bad. It will not be at 2 p.m. Eastern. It'll be at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. 12:30 p.m. Eastern on Saturday afternoon. So sorry about that. I clicked on Nashville in their schedule. So the USA Today 301 at New Hampshire. So again, New Hampshire next weekend, Cup Series Saturday, 12:30 Eastern Time for practice and qualifying. That'll all be on the same stream. It'll be a double header on Saturday because then the NASCAR Xfinity Series race will be coming up later Saturday afternoon. That will be at 3:30 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. So 12:30 p.m. Eastern for Cup practice qualifying, 3:30 p.m. Eastern next Saturday afternoon for Xfinity Series racing. Our Cup Series schedule for next weekend, we will go live at 2 p.m. Eastern Sunday at New Hampshire next weekend. All the NASCAR practice, qualifying, and the NASCAR Xfinity and NASCAR Cup Series races will be on the USA Network again next week. So if you don't have the USA Network, you can listen live here. If you have it, you can watch the race visually and listen to my commentary throughout the course of the race as well. Greatly appreciate everybody that tuned in here tonight. We are very close to the highest viewed stream of the season. I was not expecting that at Iowa. Of all the tracks, I know it's a new track on the schedule this season, but I still was not expecting it. Kind of out of nowhere. So greatly appreciate everybody tuning in. As far as the likes go, 178. That means we had the second most liked stream on the season. Second to that of only Kansas, and Kansas was the closest finish in NASCAR history. That's going to be tough to beat all season for both viewership and for likes. But I'll have to wait 48 hours after the end of the stream to get the full viewership because it is close between this and Kansas. And Kansas was a much longer stream, too. So, again, greatly appreciate that, everybody. But appreciate it. Next Saturday will be the next live commentary stream. And potentially NASCAR 07 tomorrow night. If we do it, it'll be Martinsville Busch Series racing. Hope to see you for any of those streams. See you next weekend. I also asked you in the chat if you enjoyed the race as it was going on when Stage 3 started. 88% said yes, 12% said no. Fitting, 12% said no, and the 12 car won the race. Ryan Blaney, no. I meant to end that poll a little earlier, but they had such a long green flag run to the finish. It was 93%, and then it dropped off there at the end, so maybe some anti-Blaney fans or something. What's Keegan going to do? And NASCAR has the Olympics going on? I don't know. Should start up our own Olympics on the channel. No, I'm kidding about that. That's not going to happen. I don't know. We'll figure it out when the time comes. We'll have something here on the channel there during those 2 weeks for sure. Appreciate it, everybody. Have a good rest of your Sunday night. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. See you next time. And go Blaney, by the way. My guy finally won this season.